Morning, everybody.
Morning.
They're 8:58. We're almost there.
Morning.
Morning, morning, morning. Ian Klingensmith. That will be on the quiz later.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The most commonly, how do I say this? People mess it up a lot.
Yeah. Well, my wife's first name is Janina, which makes zero sense. Well, it does. Stay with me on this. So she's from Australia, Irish and Scottish descent, and her parents go with Janina, which is Italian for Janet. Everybody's like, that's a beautiful name. How do you spell it? And I always say carefully, right? Because everybody destroys it, right? So I usually take great pride in figuring it like I would at this point. Did I pronounce it correctly? First of all, sir?
Yeah, you did actually.
Okay.
Yep.
I will promise you I would never misspell that because I've been beaten into submission by my wife, or I guess theoretically that I know that it's been an uphill battle for her whole life. So it's Gianina, but everybody calls her Gianna. There's 3 N's in the middle if people are feeling frisky, like it just gets way out of control. And yeah, so, but anyway. So welcome in, guys. I do want to apologize. I know for sure that there's been a challenge with scheduling for this. So I believe what is happening is if you've been following along the whole time, we were here, our market center 463 out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire was here for episode 1 of Spark. And we're back now. My better half is here. Zoe Kirkpatrick, 2 Ks, not in the middle, but in the whole thing. So you don't miss the middle one. She's going to help me drive. We're going to talk about marketing today and why it's important, but not most important. And I know that they're going to do some makeup classes towards the end. So my belief system is, and Zoe can jump in and do what she does best, tell me that I'm wrong. My belief system is that they are going to melt into the 1st of April on this. And what we've been historically doing is teaching this every other month. So we'll be back in May. And if, you can always go to the YouTube page. If you haven't not been to the Keller Williams New England YouTube page, all of the episodes are there for the most part, unless Gary blows this up and starts calling it Ignite 3.0. The material is going to be pretty evergreen. Obviously the conversations change because the instructors change. And I'm sort of making my point. Our intention with this round of Ignite was we would stay committed to our one class and then keep moving through. But I think some people missed that. So people that were assigned for a certain class forgot that they were doing that same class again and again and again for the rest of the year. So we do apologize for the clunkiness this month, but we'll get you guys all caught up. And it's not a linear storyline. It's put together in a certain order purposefully, but if you learn about something that you missed a little bit later this month, it's certainly not going to derail your business. So I think we can get started. Do you want to screen share the stuff about the thing? Zoe, do you have that to screen share? Am I making this up? Sure.
You are not making it up. And yes, I can
Excellent.
share.
So again, my name's Tim Lindsay, and Zoe and I are the coaches for 463. So our market center. It's funny, everybody calls it Greater Hartford and Greater Portland, and we're just Portsmouth, which everybody thinks we're in Virginia when we're at these major, we're these big things, and it says Timothy Lindsay Portsmouth, like, oh, Virginia. I'm like, no, actually the other one. So we're going to be Greater Portsmouth because my ego is going to get in the way. We're going to have that changed officially. So we're in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. That's where our market center is. That's where we're sitting right now. And then we have our footprint goes all the way up to North Conway. We go over to, we cover Southern Maine. Of course, Greater Portland has Northern Maine. So we go over to Wells, and we've got a mega agent office all the way over in Sunapee. So with agents licensed in Massachusetts and Vermont as well, we can help you out quite a bit. So if you ever have a need, because certainly I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys might be leaning into the referral conversation a little bit more now because the price of gas has changed a little bit. So if you do need some help up here, we're happy to help in that regard. So let's get started. I want, obviously, and Zoe can introduce herself, and if she starts to cry, it's because she's stressed. You stressed today? You good?
I'm okay. I'm okay today. I'm all right. Yeah.
How was your weekend? I'm back in the building with Tim. It was great.
I'm here.
Who asked?
I'm here, everybody.
Who asked?
I'm Zoe Kirkpatrick. Hi. I know many of you already. Lovely to see you all.
Mm.
I am the launch director here at KWCLM, which means I helped him and the productivity department half the time, and the other half the time, the better half. I get to, I have a better
Half where
too.
she's not dealing with my stupid. She gets to actually work with the agents. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I
Yeah.
get to work with you all,
Yep.
coaching you through launching your business here with us. So there we
If
go.
you guys have questions, toss them in the chat. Please don't be afraid to,
Yes, please.
raise your digital hand, because what that's going to do, I've got my screen set up right now that I obviously have our slideshow over here on the left. And then if you did raise your hand, right now I have Maureen McKenna up in the top square. If somebody raised their hand, they would go to that top corner. So Zoe and I can see that somebody has a question. And also, if you're in a loud space, please remain muted. If you have a question, you just want to unmute and jump in, you can do that as well. But if you raise that digital hand, it's down in your interactions or reactions, I should say. That would be super helpful for us. So we really appreciate your time. I guess I want to start with, where do people stand right now? I think the one thing that we get away from is you come into these classes, and God bless you, because there's, it's a 3-hour morning. The reason we purposefully do this in the morning is we're pulling you out of lead generation. There, I said that without laughing on purpose. So, I know all of you were like, oh, I really wanted to make my calls for 3 hours this morning, but I've got this class I've got to attend. So how has that been going? What does your 10-4 look like? Do you not know what 10-4 is? Did your uncle drive a truck and you think you know what 10-4 is? Like, help me with that. Bring me up to speed on where you guys are at with your databases. This is where we get your feedback. Somebody lean in. Anybody lean in.
I'm not afraid to call on people.
Yeah. First person to raise their hand wins a Buick in my heart. People are like, I don't want a Buick, dude. Those aren't cool anymore. They really are. Some of the SUVs are really nice, but still nobody cares. Okay, we're gonna call on people.
We're just, I'll just.
Yes, thank
Linda
you, Linda.
Rodriguez for the win.
Woo!
What's up, kid?
This weekend I did some door knocking. So the prospecting, it was like, last week we talked about how uncomfortable it is to actually go out there, introduce yourself, especially throughout the whole neighborhood where I live. It's like neighbors all over the place. It was uncomfortable feeling, but when I actually went door knocking with the marketing that I had, I think it was Rhonda, she talked about seeds, and I actually made a little baggie. And just going to these homes and knocking, I felt more comfortable having something to give them and say, hey, you know what, I want to introduce myself. I work for Keller Williams. I'm your neighborhood agent. I just wanted to chat with you for a little bit, introduce myself. If you or anyone that you may know need any person to help them with their real estate needs, and then when you give it to them, they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. So I think just giving them something that small is different than just go door knocking and just giving them business cards. Giving them something just to say, hey, I'm out here, I'm your neighbor. I felt comfortable. I thought it was going to be kind of scary and a lot of rejection, but to be honest with you, I felt good.
Awesome.
And one of the reasons why I did it was because when I was driving around my neighborhood, I noticed other signs up there, and I'm like, damn it, if I would have done this like 2-3 weeks ago, maybe that would have been me. So I said I had to go out there and do it.
Congratulations. I love that. Well, the one thing, no matter what we're doing for lead generation, and marketing too, which we'll talk about today, nothing else matters except for consistency. So I appreciate that you had a Ziploc full of gold coins because it was St. Patrick's Day, and your business card is in there as well. I think our biggest fear to engage with any of the humans is our fear that we don't present any value, right? So if you are showing up and you do have a holiday-based gift, your business card is in there as well. Above and beyond that right now, what I'd love to see you guys start to do is the Trojan horse listing appointment. And what is the Trojan horse listing appointment? You've heard us talk about this so many times. It's the equity conversation. if you can say to them, I'm introducing myself to the neighbors. I also wanted to offer an equity update for you and, I mean, if you're standing there and you know that it's just a young couple, for you and Stephen. And I can do that tomorrow at 4 or Friday at 5. Because ultimately, what are you going to show up? You're going to show up either on Zoom if they're comfortable on Zoom, or if they're comfortable with you being in the house or on the back deck. You're showing up with your comparative market analysis, right? You've got the CMA, you're doing the equity update, and your intention is to make sure they understand what they're sitting on. Do they have equity? Do they want to refi? And I know rates are changing, but some people might have gotten into a rate that maybe is north of where they can get into now. And if you're going to save them, right? And when you do the math, and if they're willing to share with you where they were, if you do the math and they have a conversation with their lender and they find out they're going to save $75 a month, raise your hand if you'd like another tank of gas this month, right? Like that's what the $75 is right now. And above and beyond that, maybe they're going to list, or maybe they're just going to pull some out to put on a bigger deck or throw the pool in or build out downstairs, because who knows if season 5 of COVID is coming, right? So that honest conversation, at the very least, you sit at the kitchen table, and when they make a decision, if it is to list, you get out of your wooden Trojan horse and you're like, guess what? Surprise party. This was actually a listing appointment. But it's the intentionality behind it is not that, but it's delivering value. Because a lot of agents, if you are new to the ecosystem or new to the industry and you're waiting for your first listing appointment to do your first CMA, I would like you to think differently about the opportunity. Just start to flex that muscle, stretch that muscle, build that muscle of I do CMAs all the time to offer equity updates. And then obviously to edify my buyers when they're about to make an offer on a home. If you're working with buyers, that CMA in prep to make sure they're educated going into the offer is wildly important too. So nice job, Linda. I really love that you're doing that, and just keep doing it consistently. Same street every week. No, they're going to probably swing through with a van and a straitjacket at that point. And that's going to seem like you're just laying it on too thick. But if you have a neighborhood you want to attack, Linda, then you hit street 1, street 2, street 3, street 4, and you keep rolling through once a month. That seems like an awful lot. And it's not.
There's a lot of streets.
Yeah, well, I know, but just start small,
Yeah.
right? Our most successful agents picked a zip code, and they're just beating the daylights out of that zip code. And they started within that too, go from the zip code to the side of town, to the neighborhood, to the street. How do we eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? You're going to build your business street by street, neighborhood by neighborhood. And if you think about the opportunity of just showing up, because then once you list that house on that street, now you're going back to invite them to the open. Then you list the second house. And now the Lindsays are like, okay, well, Linda's here on a regular basis. I don't think she's canvassing for a political, this is what always happens. Well, I don't want to do it in November here in New England because they'll think that we're canvassing for a political figure. No, they'll know that you're the mayor if you're there constantly. They won't think that you're selling encyclopedias or you're professing your faith and getting them to join the church. They're just going to know that you are the mayor of their street when it comes to real estate, and their natural inclination when they're ready to list will be you. Nice job, Linda. Don't overthink it, guys. Overdo it, right? We've got the math. Gary has the math. Nobody's ever 0.0 humans are offended when you show up and care and offer them value. And that's what we do every day until people become transactional. Anybody else have something to share before we bounce into the stuff? All right, what we're going to focus on today, guys, the two halves of your business, right? And I would argue that line in the middle, if you're looking at the slideshow, the line in the middle is lunch, right? We are doing business growth activities in the morning, and then we're running our business in the afternoon. But Tim, I just had my ham sandwich and it's 12:30 and I don't have any business to run. Then get back to growing it, right? Said with love. Then just do more lead gen. Now, if you get to lunchtime and you're like, if I get back on the phone, I'm going to go lay in traffic. Well, then maybe you jump onto KW Connect, or you go to the Keller Williams New England YouTube page and you get caught up on some stuff. Maybe you do. Maybe there's a class on your market center calendar that you're attending via Zoom or in person. If you don't have something in the afternoon, I would argue until we get our first appointment, we're in pursuit of our first appointment. But let's go through the list and make sure that everybody understands where we're at with this. We've been focused on this as we start every class. Raise your hand if you've seen this slide before. Excellent. We're going to lead generate for buyers and sellers. I want you to switch that. And I'm not trying to pick a fight with your leadership in your market. And we're having a 6-state conversation. So we're not going to go into the weeds on law. but I'm always going to direct you guys back. Zoe and I are always going to remind you guys to go back to your leadership with these local conversations. I trust your coach would not be upset. I trust that your team lead, if you're on a team, would not be upset if I told you that you're looking for sellers before buyers. And we asked this, I've got the sun, just, yeah. Could I get any, like, look at me. I look like a bottle of bleach right now. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I'm gonna lean over this way. There we go. Does anybody in the room, raise your hand if anybody in the room has too much money in the bank? Second question. We ask this at every training at our market center. Does anybody in the room have too many listings? Excellent. We're all in the right spot. And the money question is not about greed. The money question is about being philanthropic, right? The Powerball conversation. If I won 650 after taxes, what would you do? Very few people put their pinky in the corner of their mouth and say sharks and lasers, right? Most people are like, well, I'd buy my niece her car. I'd get that condo for my aunt. I'd send all of my kids to college with no debt. All the things, right? I'd send a big fat check to puppiesforpuppies.com. So we want sellers first. Everyone in the room, everyone in our conversation, everyone in our industry absolutely needs listings right now. Nobody needs another buyer. Nobody needs another buyer. And one hand washes the other. You get the listing, the buyers show up. I use a lot of bad food analogies, and I'm a fat kid, so I can say this. We don't need more fat kids. We need more bear claws, right? If you have a bakery and you don't have any baked goods in the glass case, fat kids are going to roll through with a 50 and be like, oh, I wanted a bear claw, and I have a jelly stick and some munchkins and a piece of cake, but you don't have any of that. Our job is to fill that up so we have what the industry requires to move forward. Then we're going to get good at making seller presentations. We're going to get good at making buyer presentations. And the listing presentation comes first, right? So that's why we said lean into that CMA conversation. Just do the equity update, which is ultimately you're showing them where they stand in the marketplace, which is a CMA meeting. And then we're previewing real estate, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing that 10-4. Are you having 10 conversations every day? At least. Because I know we get lost and we're like, well, it's a 10-4. I got to make 10 dials, not 10 dials. To make enough dials to have 10 conversations. Once you have the conversations, are they permission based where you can then say, because I might be friends with Maureen McKenna, and based on that conversation where I never really asked her if I could stay in touch in a business sense, then she suddenly starts getting emails from me. And she's like, what is this? That didn't even come up. We didn't even talk about business. I want to get to the point where I'm going through the conversation with Maureen. And when business comes up, I ask her how Hewlett Packard is. She's like, it's awful. I have to remember that because maybe she wants to switch careers and jump into real estate. And she says, well, Timmy, how's real estate? I'm so glad you asked. My teammate and I, Zoe, want to help 42 families this year. We've helped 20 so far. Who do you know that we should know? Who do you know that we can help? And maybe it's them, right? And then they're like, yeah, you know what? We want to get a vacation property, or we want to sell our house, but we're 3 years out because the kids are still in school. Where do you guys intend to go in 3 years? And get permission to stay in touch in a business sense. So when I do start to send her emails that are valuable to her based on our conversation, she doesn't think she's getting spammed. And if you don't believe me, if your parents are still with you, your mother, your father, like I remember when I first got started, I'm respectfully going to call her Cheryl because I just call her Cheryl, my mom. I sent Cheryl an email and she called like within 2 days. Timothy, are you drinking? Like, what is this? She had no idea what it was. I didn't know what it is. She acts extra confused. Why did I get this? I'm like, oh God. So like, if you're really bad on the phone or with your email, you run the risk that your mother will never take the next call. So let's make sure that we are, having honest conversations with our people. And the easiest script in the world, I'll let you guys write this down. I'll give you time to grab a sharp crayon. The Adele script. Hello. What happens after that? I don't know. I've never had a conversation with another human. I don't believe you, right? It's the Ford conversation. But it starts with hello. Just have a conversation. Business will come up. Especially how many people, your friends, are starting to find out that you're in real estate and they want to talk to you about real estate. Everyone's interested in real estate. In a quiet conversation with anybody on planet Earth, if you said, would you like to own where you currently live, or would you like to eventually own something? They would say, yes. Do you know anybody in real estate? Funny you should ask. I am, but I've been busy not telling anyone because I didn't want to offend anybody. Your next cocktail party, your next barbecue this summer, when they find out you're in real estate, people are going to want to talk to you about it. Because you're a wealth of knowledge, because you're coming from contribution, because it's head down, heart up, because it's service first, sales second. And that same person in your ring of trust who's working life insurance, like the insurance people, and said with love, but like if you work in insurance, nobody wants to have that conversation. Like, oh, thank God I found you. Let's talk about my life insurance. People view that as a luxury. If it's a conversation about when they're going to die, nobody really wants to spend Saturday standing by the grill talking about their impending death, right? So prospecting versus marketing. What's the difference between prospecting and marketing? Somebody can raise their hand. Be great. Is it Dokos? George Dokos? Great Irish name. I'm joking. It's Greek, right? There's a lot of vowels on a K. It's got to be Greek. Anybody. I picked on George, but he refuses to unmute. So somebody help me. What's the difference between prospecting and marketing?
Phone calls, face-to-face, having actual conversations with people would be prospecting, I would say.
Okay. Sharon, go ahead. Unmute, Sharon. Season 3 of COVID. Unmute. I love you, kiddo. It's okay. Better.
It's being proactive and seeking out the customers versus marketing, which is kind of a general marketing to everybody. Hopefully somebody will come type of thing.
Yeah, you said proactive. Linda said the same thing.
Oh, sorry.
No. You're making my point. You both made each other's point. So I appreciate that. Prospecting is active. Marketing is passive. You could have a night. So everybody probably has a billboard somewhere in their town. I'm going to pick on our traffic circle here in Portsmouth. There's a myriad of billboards down there. And we'll use Zoe because she's much better looking than me. So Zoe's got this amazing billboard with her big face and all the contact information. And even within your marketing, the letter you sent out, the postcard you sent out, the billboard you overpaid for, I assure you. Whatever it is, there could be a call to action. But you're not leaning off the billboard and saying, hey, Tim, how was your day? You're not having a conversation with them. So even with a call to action, marketing is passive. It's a thing that we want to have going on in the background. It's a set it and forget it conversation. And we want it to be consistent. So if, depending on how you're wired, if your coach at your market center has done your DISC and your KPA conversation with you, and you've identified whether you're D, I, S, or C, my S and C friends in the room are going to be like, I love the newsletter idea. I will have pie charts and bar graphs and pretty words. I'm still picking the font. I think it's going to be Helvetica. Not sure. We're having a meeting tomorrow. And you're going to craft this beautiful newsletter. And when you do, you're going to send it out once. And then you're going to wait for the phone to ring. And that's not enough. If you're doing any sort of newsletter or monthly newsletter or postcard system, please do it at least every 30 days. Because what we know, Zoe and I will have conversations and we identify the person and we know that they're going to lean into the newsletter. And you can, but here's the truth behind the newsletter. It's about 15 months to get noticed. It's about 18 months to get teeth. Write that down. It's about 15 months to get noticed, 18 months to get teeth. So you've got to be committed to it. You're going to send out 18 months worth of newsletters before somebody may bite. Now you might have something really dynamic. People love it. They call you right away. We haven't witnessed that yet. So if you cap off one newsletter, I'll put you on stage with Gary because he's going to want to know more because the whole country is going to want to know more. Right? Consistency. Now, prospecting is active. Prospecting is I'm in conversation. I'm going to create a lead at will today. I have the probability of creating a kitchen table today if I'm in prospecting. And one of them is going to be cost prohibitive. I shouldn't say prohibitive. One of them is going to assume more cost. One of them is going to assume more time. Marketing is where the cost comes in. Right. And you could argue, well, I'm going to prospect. I paid for my phone, Timmy. You paid for your phone anyway. No matter what you're doing on planet Earth, you're paying for your phone. You're playing Wordle, Candy Crush, you're on Tinder, whatever else you're doing, but you've got a phone already in your life. You're going to lie to your CPA next month and be like, it's a business expense. Well, let's make it a business expense. Lift said phone to face, talk to the humans inside with the mouth you already own. That is relatively free. Your kids probably don't have free mouths. They probably have braces. Those are expensive, right? And you can create a lead at will. We're going to talk about deeply marketing. We're also going to take action, show you guys how to create a post. Is everybody familiar with command? And when I say command, if you're thinking to yourself, well, my team uses a different tool, then I'm talking about your CRM. The reason we'll always talk about command is because everyone at Keller Williams has access to command. It's part of your experience here. If your team has chosen to use another tool, cool. Make sure you're using that. How do I use that? You take the people that are in your phone, that are in all the other places, you make sure they're in one place. They're in your CRM, they're in command. So you can have a consistent conversation with them over time. Our great leader here, Nathan Dickey, who's the OP at 463. He's also our regional director, if you guys are familiar with him. He will tell you his biggest regret when he was in production was he underserved his database. Nate's a high D, right? The fact that anybody got into a database in Nate's world is pretty impressive. And usually it was because somebody else in his life was helping him do that. And it could have been better. Is it better now? Sure, because he's got great people on his team that are making sure that he's in contact. But he's moved from looking for houses to looking for humans, right? But you're still in conversation. Then we're going to make sure that we hit some ahas, and I'm going to force people to raise their hand and talk about what they learned today. And if you didn't learn anything, make something up. It's being recorded. I'm being judged every minute. And then we're going to talk about the daily success habits. What are you doing every day to build your business? And I know if you just raise your hand, if you're just underway, if you just joined the industry and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm doing the things that hasn't shown up yet. It will. That big long line of doing all the things and waiting for something to happen, for the hockey stick to turn up, is called embracing the suck. I don't mean to offend anybody, but that's what it's called. One of our great coaches at MAPS calls it embracing the suck. Right? You just got to put your head down. It's the breakdown before the breakthrough. Everybody's seen that cartoon of the guy swinging the pickaxe in the mine. And if it was one more swing, the gold or the diamonds is on the other side of the wall, but they walk away. If you're doing the things, everything amazing you will do in this industry is lost in the mundane. We got to be okay with just doing our things. It's very, there's no show about lead generation on HGTV because nobody would watch, right? Nobody cares. Everybody wants to see the fun part. Nobody wants to watch before lunch. Everybody wants to watch after lunch. Make sense? People want to see us running our business, not growing. But that's the misconception. All of your civilian friends don't know that we do what we do in the morning. They think we sell houses in 22 minutes minus commercials, right? So it's your job to have that conversation with them and market yourself to your people in a certain way. Questions, comments, concerns on that? Is anybody running marketing right now? Any kind of marketing right now? Kylie says, yes, that was half a hand on a Monday morning. She's like, meh. She's that hand wave was about as exciting as like, yeah. Is that how you feel about your marketing? Maybe we need to work on that. Yeah. Somebody might've got it. Somebody didn't get it. I don't get it. Okay. So as we get into this, we just talked about this, right? Marketing versus prospecting. And again, what does Gary talk about? We want to make sure that we are foundational, right? We want to be systems and model based. If you guys, has anybody in the room ever taken, and I'd love some cameras on. I mean, I'm getting whited out by the sun piercing through my windows. And I know I'm not a pleasure to look at, but I'd love to see your faces. That would be great.
As Mark Ramsey says, don't be weird. Join us, please, with the
Don't
face.
be weird.
I love that. He's like, you guys are weirdos. Just like, you know.
I'm going to try to get 100 today on pronunciations. Mr. Rodriguez, is that Marshall? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yes, Marshall.
I love that. I love that spelling. Nobody's going to steal your bank account. How do you spell Marshall? Carefully. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for coming on. Kaylee Johnson. There she is.
Lisa,
what's up, kiddo?
hey.
She just went door knocking last week and it works. We talked about the Trojan horse listing appointment, right? Awesome. So again, we want to be systems and model based, and then we get to be creative. If you've ever been in a business planning clinic, when that class comes up, you'll see a triangle. We love triangles here. And it talks about being foundational. To use one of my bad food analogies, we don't get to frost the unbaked cake. We have to bake the cake first. We have to be foundational. You know, think about anybody in the room, unless you're adverse to baked goods. And I don't know if we can be friends after this class, if that's the case, but if you're adverse to baked goods, you've probably powered through a dry cupcake, but the frosting worked it through. You're right. You're like, yeah, it was sort of dry, but I didn't notice because the frosting was awesome. Right. The systems and the models, the foundational stuff, the prospecting based, is what is going to create and build a legacy business for you. The marketing is where you get to come in and say, hey, this is how I do it. But you never get to tell that story if you have nobody to tell. We all get analysis paralysis, no matter how you're wired, right? And certainly on the DISC assessment, our high C people definitely get handcuffed by making sure it's perfect. So Zoe, if you guys haven't figured out yet, Zoe is obviously operationally leaning. She's
Where my C's at?
Yeah, she's a CS, right? On the DISC.
No, I'm a CD. I'm a CD.
Are you CD? Yeah. So all right, perfect. So that means she wants it. She wants all the facts yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. I'm an ISDC, which means I want to talk, hug, get it done. I don't care about the paperwork. As Zoe can attest.
He really doesn't.
Yeah, don't care about the paperwork.
A nice stack of filed papers on the floor next to him.
Some on the floor now. They're here. I'm just waiting for the Smithsonian to come pick them up. So if we don't have anywhere to practice, then there's no need to worry about making sure that my marketing is great. If we don't have a story to tell to anybody yet, because we haven't earned the right through prospecting to get to somebody's kitchen table. So prospecting against, we have a chance to make immediate results. It's very proactive, although it's going to cost us our time, right? Ironically, everybody came into this industry. I would argue most of you, raise your hand if this is true. You came here from another industry, or maybe straight out of college, maybe straight out of fifth grade. I don't know. Got to be 18. Couldn't have been fifth grade unless you really struggle with fifth grade. So everybody came here probably to get more time and more money on their side. Yes, those are the two streams of quote unquote revenue that we're creating. Time and money. What do our loved ones want? They want us to come home faster with more money. So it's going to cost us more of our time to prospect. I don't have to spend any time near the billboard once it's up, but it's going to cost me to have that billboard up, that marketing. And they can both have a call to action, but what do we know? I hear this all the time when you guys talk about being on the phone. And I appreciate this. Yeah, Tim, the phone, I mean, it's cool. It's like 80,000 pounds though. Doesn't it feel extra heavy on a Monday sometimes? And I'm much better off face-to-face. Raise your hand if you're better off face-to-face. Most people would say that. And I appreciate that. There's a reason for that. There's math behind that. And this math's going to be a little bit off. You might hear it differently in other conversations. Roughly, if you write this down, 7% of our effectiveness, 7% of our effectiveness is in the words we choose. I can hear my mother, Shirley Lindsay. Timothy, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that's important. The words we choose, 43% of our effectiveness is in the tonality in which we deliver those words. And then what's the other 50%? Body language. So for a lot of you, for 3 seconds, 2 years ago when COVID hit, you're like, oh my God, I'm so good face-to-face. How are we going to do this? Well, then you pop the camera on. They're getting a better version of you than over the phone. But the phone is wildly powerful. Way better than text. Because raise your hand if you're in the generation. I'll pick on Kaylee Johnson. All my friends just text him. Cool. Be better than that. Said with love. Be better than that. If you can win the art of the conversation in this industry, in this time frame in our life, where everyone's texting, you'll be better off. Because does context get lost in text? Right? And I call this the middle finger of texting. And I always pick on Nathan Dickey because he's so high D. He just wants to get on with it. I will send him like Tolstoy, like a 3-page text, which I know you shouldn't do. It's completely aggravating, but I'll send him a really long text and he'll write back just K. K is the middle finger of texting. It really is. Like, I just poured my heart out to you, Nathan. He's like, K. Okay. Just give me an O. Throw a vowel in there, Alex. Just give me something.
Is it better or worse if it's a fully capitalized OKAY? You're like, I don't know if that's better.
Yeah. But again, if you're texting back and forth, and I appreciate that, because when we do talk about bold and we do talk about ignite, we do talk about the fact that you can converse in real time. If I text Zoe this morning and her response to me comes mid-April, that's not a live conversation. That's like,
I'm also maybe fired.
She was scrolling through and she's like, oh my God. Tim texted me last quarter.
Oh,
huh. maybe I'll get back to them. That's not a real conversation. But if you are conversing in direct messages in any social media or via text in real time, cool. And don't do this to people. And people do this all the time. And I'm actually thrilled if you do, but I know people feel trapped when people do it. You're mid-text and then suddenly the phone rings and it's that person. Because you're like, no, I was very happy with this meeting. We were here, right? We could set the phone call for later. So don't try to corner your people. But without fail, that is the best version of you in person. I appreciate that. The phone and the opportunity to set appointments via the phone or nurture a conversation forward with the phone is way more powerful than I shot them a text. I trust a lot of you, honest conversation. I trust a lot of you are getting recruited from other brokerages, other offices. You're getting recruit texts. And what's amazing to me, if they're not calling you and they're texting you, this is how the relationship is starting. Be aware of that. We'd really love you to come work with us. Via text, not even messenger pigeon or like a nice email with a good signature block, just a text. I don't think that you're sweeping me off my feet. And if you feel that way about getting recruited via text, that's how your clients feel about getting recruited via text. Are we making sense? Because that broker across the street is looking for humans. You're looking for houses. It's the same conversation. So if you're the next time you get a recruiting text and you're like, they didn't care enough to call, you're making my point. Call your humans. Use your words, the passion behind those words. And if you can get them on screen or in person and flail your arms like a puppet, awesome. Now they see how passionate you are. But they don't get any of that in text. Questions, comments, concerns?
Or the best piece of marketing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Your favorite billboard, Super Bowl ads fall under this category.
When you bought your house, if you currently own where you're sitting, who helped you do that and why? Why did you choose them? Stephen Hatch is bursting at the seams to tell me, but he's got his poker face on. It's like, I'm pretty excited, Tim. I'm not that excited.
Tim, I chose to be able to guide me through the process.
Who's that?
Bill. William.
Okay. Did you know him beforehand?
No.
So how did he get your attention?
It was referral.
So you knew somebody who knew him.
Yes.
And why did you trust Bill to be of great service to you?
Because the person referred him said he was good.
Is that person that referred him somebody in the industry or just a friend of Bill?
A friend.
So Bill got into conversation with you because your friend edified him to you.
Yes.
So that's a huge part of what we're going to talk about today. I think a lot of people will tell me, everyone in my, and this is a lie. It will always be a lie, said with love. Wait for it. Everyone in my phone, Tim, knows I'm in real estate. No, they don't. They just don't. They don't. No, when I got my license, I called everybody once. Cool. We have to tell everyone in our life 7 times we're in real estate before they forget. Write that down. It's heartbreaking and true. We tell everyone in our life 7 times we're in real estate before they forget. Between the 7th and 20th interaction, our people either become transactional or know somebody who is. This will happen this summer because we're all going to play with each other, which is phenomenal. So you're walking into a backyard barbecue. Any veterans on the call, raise your hand if you've been in real estate for more than 12 minutes. 1 year, 2 year. Give me somebody throw up a paw. Aisha, last name Kyer. Yes. How long have you been in real estate?
2 months.
2 months. Okay. So this hasn't happened to you yet. It will happen to everybody at some point. There's Carol. Carol, help me with that conversation.
Carol, come on up.
Yep. Carol Goodwin just raised her hand. Unmute.
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a, here I am.
There you
Here
are.
she
What's up, kiddo?
is.
I'm half awake today, I'm sorry. I've been in real estate for 3 years. Was that the question? What was the question?
Yeah. Well, so when's the last time you ran into one of your people and they're like, oh my God, Goodwin, how are you? Are you
How's
still
hair?
Oh yeah,
are you-
very recently. And they told me I reached out to her because I hadn't reached out to her in 3 years.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I'm gonna start picking up this heavy 20-pound phone.
Yeah.
And I'm
Super
gonna
heavy.
call people I know. And I called her to check in. I was like, oh, congratulations on the baby. I told you this, Tim. Your house,
Yeah.
your house must be getting really small. Your apartment that you're renting, let's get you going on a house. She was like, oh my God, I didn't even like click that you were in real estate. And we just closed. We're just moving into our house.
Huh.
I can't talk. I'm moving the moving trucks here.
Yep. And it's
My
going to
own
happen.
fault.
It's going to happen to
My fault.
everybody at some point.
Yeah.
Can you lower the probability of that happening? Absolutely. Right. But what we need to remember is when our feet hit the floor, think about all the friends that you have that work in, they have their own business. They would be one of our many allied resources. Think of your butcher, your baker, your candlestick maker, the landscaper, the painter, the GC, the butcher down the street. When your feet hit the floor this morning, were you like, God, I hope Larry has enough steak tips to get through the afternoon? No, you weren't thinking about their business. It's not because you're callous. It's because you're thinking about your business. Are you allowing other people around you to think about your business? Carol's been at it for 3 years. And one of her people forgot. Like, I've got a lot of gray hair. When I walk into a barbecue, they're like, oh my God, you're still alive and doing real estate. Like, they're shocked for a myriad of reasons, right? But I've gone dormant because I'm having conversations with you guys. I've been out of sales, direct sales as a realtor since 14. So my friends are not, but my friends will still call me and say, hey, we're listening. Who do you know? Because they know that we have a massive team on planet Earth because I've beaten that into them. Right? So
Eric.
It's going to happen to you at some point. You can lower the probability of that taking place. When it happens, know that you're clearly doing a bunch of business and there's just some nuts and bolts to tighten. So it doesn't happen. Go ahead, Zoe.
Yeah. Eric, what did you have before? Your hand was raised.
Oh, I was just going to throw some input about the last person who sold our house.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
But yeah, no, I mean, we found a guy through his marketing, but I would, kind of knowing and to put it in the right lens, I would say we found a guy through him being available, and so if somebody had been more available, i.e., making a phone call, we would have jumped at it because that would, that would definitely for a first-time home buyer would have been the preferred methodology is if somebody come and talk to me and say, hey, I know you're getting ready to do this. What can I do to help or whatever? This guy just kind of happened to be, within arm's reach as far as a phone call or whatever. But I certainly see the value in somebody reaching out proactively.
Yep. Sure.
And then kind of to follow up on that, as far as the what not to do. That was 8 years ago, and the only contact we've had with that guy is once a year we get the Sox magnetic calendar for our fridge. So and that's not. I mean, and the guy did fine. He was great. I as far as like would I have used him again prior to getting into the industry? Absolutely. Did I feel 1 ounce of allegiance to him whatsoever if somebody else would call and make themselves sound better? No, like I would jump ship in a heartbeat because he never cultivated me.
Right. Great point, Eric. Thank you for bringing that up. Is it
Yeah.
Rewalt?
It would be pronounced as if it were 2 first names, Ray Walt.
Ray Walt. All right. There'll be a quiz later, everybody. So, Eric, great point. I love that you brought that up because it's so true. We tend to orphan our buyers and sellers at the closing table. And if you're a listing agent, you've seen a buyer's agent leave with their check from the closing table. They're heading to the club, right? Their buyer's never going to be spoken to again. And who had the most influence? Honest to God, who had the most influence in that relationship? You created the marketing conversation around 123 Maple Street for the buyer to be attracted to that house. And not to cross any signs when the transaction is over, for you to send out a handwritten note. It was a pleasure working with, John Q. Citizen, whoever the agent was. And yourself, if you have any questions about the neighborhood of the town, because I know that you moved from elsewhere, never hesitate to reach out because this will happen everybody on this call at some point, because you're going to do a ton of business, and I congratulate you on that. You're going to drive past, to Eric's point, you're going to drive past, and this will happen to his friend who helped him move in 8 years ago. Some stats: average American moves every 5 to 7 years. That's probably accelerated because of everything that's going on. 5 to 7 years is when the average American moves. So Eric is ripe for that. If this agent that worked with him has something going on in their database, you should be getting a call. But to Eric's point, and to Gary's point at family reunion, another great stat, there's a lot of math here. I know you weren't ready for this. 82% of human beings work with the first agent they speak to about selling their home. 82% work with the first agent they talk to. So if you're like, I've heard you should be fourth on a Thursday, maybe fifth on a Saturday. No, first, always first. 82% of people list with the first listing agent that they speak with. Thank you, Eric, for that. This is in the Red Book. This is in the lead generation section of the Red Book. If you don't have a copy of the Red Book, go ahead.
It's also on page 4 in
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not trying to push people away from it. Yeah.
workbook.
They're like, I don't have my Red Book in front of me. If you do have your Red Book in the lead generation conversation, right? Because there's 4 models in there. In lead gen, this is a phenomenal page that we're going to run through to make sure you guys understand what's so important. And before we get started, if Gary were here, he would ask me to do this. So we're going to do it. TCPA. Does anybody know what that stands for? TCPA. Write this down. Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Telephone Consumer Protection Act. FSBOs and expireds, you could run into the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, which is somebody's on the do not call list. How do you find out what the do not call list is? Do not call.gov. Do not call.gov. You can set up your own personal free account for a couple of zip codes. After that, you do start to incur some charges if you want to add a bunch of zip codes. The easiest way to not have to worry about the TCPA is call the people that are already in your phone. Because if you call your Aunt Stacy and she's like, Kaylee, I'm on the do not call list, like, you got to work on your relationship with your aunt. Let's start there. Let's brass tax this and be like, you got to work on your familial relationships first. And that probably involves a leather recambier and a therapist. We'll get to that later. TCPA is going to be when you are making phone calls. If you're using a dialer, and all the dialer companies, and I'm not going to admonish anybody, they all claim that they are scrubbing these lists. So be vigilant about who you use. Have a long, honest conversation with them. It is 42. Write this down. Maybe get it tattooed. Maybe a temporary tattoo. $42,000. Did he say trillion? Almost. $42,000 per violation. I want to say that 17 more times on behalf of Gary Keller. $42,000 per violation. So if you're feeling dangerous, fire away, sister. Other than that, probably look it up. It's not worth
it. Is Gary Keller paying that
No,
$42,000?
Gary won't be there. Nate, our regional director, won't be there. Your OP won't be there. I think your dog and cat will take the day off. Nobody's coming to help. $42,000 per violation. So if you have a really dangerous day, Trisha will be there in 2 seconds. If you have a really dangerous day, and again, these people have to call and report you. Yes. It could be an $84,000 day. And we're not talking about GCI and volume, kids. We're talking about, hopefully you're an earth tone because you might be in an orange jumpsuit. I don't think you'll be in an orange jumpsuit, but yeah, it's not great. Don't do it. Call your people because they're never on the do not call list. You've already got a relationship you're nurturing forward. So please be aware of that. Trisha, go ahead.
That is so scary. I just did the lead paint like contract class, and I was so scared about the $16,000 fine per line, but now I'm like tripping. But my question was, in a previous Ignite, someone had mentioned that some market centers have a program or something that you can like get a list from or something. Do you know if the Portsmouth office?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So we already ran into that sticking point in some conversation way back when. It was everybody was sort of told per market center, just get your market center an account. Here's the problem. where two or more are gathered, it turns into a headache. So as soon as two agents are in the agreement at the same time, it locks and they reset the password. So that's why we're inviting you guys to get your own. Because we're never going to, depending on the size of your market center and your footprint too, you're never going to have one that's going to run free for all the zip codes you require. So figure out where you want to attack your FSBOs and expireds or any do not call list. And I think you can grab at least 2 zip codes before they start to charge you.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to bring it
And-
right back to call the people that you know, and you'll stay out of the most trouble and make the most money. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Trisha.
And just in case, I did put the links in the chat for the how to register for the Do Not Call registry and the full robust FAQs. So if you have any more questions, please refer to the government
Yes.
for that.
Yes. Nancy Pelosi's on line 6. So prospecting, let's run through the list. FSBOs, it says for sale by owner. I've always called this is my acronym for that, is it actually stands for frequently seen but overlooked, right? Because your neighbor, let's be honest, and I'll go right to the male personal pronoun. He, without fail, bought a sign at Home Depot or Lowe's, put his cell phone number on the sign, and took some pictures with his wife's iPhone 2, and then put them on her MySpace. Good news, she has 5 friends. Bad news, all 7 of them are dead. Nobody knows it's for sale. The only people that know it's for sale, the people driving past the sign in the neighborhood saying, God, I hope he sells it soon because I really don't like Ted. Frequently seen, but overlooked. You're not telling the broader story if you're doing a FSBO. We can help them, but that's their challenge. The best news about the FSBOs and the expireds are they've raised their hand. They have, without fail, engaged the marketplace. They want to sell their home, or at some point they did. And the way to look at this is to have the conversation with them in your head and remind them they have a problem without ever saying the word problem to them. Does that make sense? And the 2 categories, the FSBO, the expired has probably lost faith in their relationship with their agent. The FSBO most likely has lost faith in their relationship with our entire industry. That's why they're going it alone. Ask the FSBO why they're selling it themselves. And those 2 categories just keep showing up. I want to save time and money. I appreciate that, Mr. Lindsay. In your efforts, I fear you're going to waste both. Right? Jeff Glover, one of our great agents from the Detroit area. Jeff Glover, if you go to Glover U, their website, a ton of FSBO scripts that you can jump into.
Tim, sorry, I'm gonna jump in here.
Sure.
So we are using our time. Can somebody who was in the prospecting class last Friday's class, can somebody pop in and just say, reassure us that you went over the prospecting side of this list on Friday? Yes,
Anybody?
no, maybe. Because we really want to try to focus on marketing today over here, where we're at today, but we don't want to leave you hanging.
Yeah, we'll get to the
if
marketing.
Nobody's ever
Thank you,
heard
Zoe.
of.
And in that interest, if you guys have questions about any of this stuff, you can always reach out to us after class, because there's a lot here to chew on. But yeah, we want to stay on marketing. And that's why Zoe's here, because otherwise I'd be handing out cookie recipes at this point. So I apologize.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Eric says, yes, they covered prospecting.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. So again, prospecting is all the active stuff. All the active is the things that you can do now in person, and you can control the ask. Marketing is passive, typically a little more money laden as opposed to time. You're spending your money to do this. It's less of your time, more of your money. So offline advertising, radio. And I know a lot of people are just like, well, I don't know if I do that anymore. I don't really listen to the radio. For some people, it does make sense, right? And we can have conversations about this offline later.
Or you can also sub in podcasts for the 21st
yeah, podcast
century.
now would be the way to go for sure.
Fantastic. Right?
Yep.
There are local podcasts. They're awesome and cheap if we're talking about ads.
And they're thrilled to have you on to have a conversation, right? If somebody's running like a community or a neighborhood podcast, they'll pull you in to be the agent of choice. TV, you'll see some of your bigger teams doing this for sure. You're seeing some national brands do it. Keller Williams historically has not run TV ads because the money that we would spend on that, we give back to you for profit share, which I think works out better. Newspapers, people laugh at this. And I will poke fun at it because there's a thing up on the lake here in New Hampshire called the paper is called the Laker. It was a 4-minute marketing meeting on that one. And they'll throw your listing in the Laker, but again, who's going to see that? And the trouble with that print is you don't have analytics after the fact, where online with SEO stuff, you would have analytics. You can be able to show your sellers that you're getting pushed through and clicks and time on page. Personal vehicles. Everybody feels differently about this. We had a guy join our market center, has a Mercedes, and every square inch has some marketing on it, which I don't know that I would go that route, but he did. You can do that for sure. Your face on the side. I wouldn't put my face on the side, but your phone number, contact information for sure. Bus stops and benches. Again, I don't know if that's the best place to spend your dollars, but people do it. Magazines, I think the one to do out right now is there's a magazine in Command that you can build and disseminate. And there's some other national brands that build them for you. That the best part of the American Lifestyle magazine, if you've ever heard of them or seen them, there's no date on it. So George gets his done, leaves it at his dentist office. And when they're going through to get rid of all the old copies, there's no date on George's magazine. So they never throw it out. It'll stay there till you bring the new one. So those are good ideas because it's in front of people. And usually if you have a doctor that likes you, they'll let you plop it down. Billboards, again, there could be a call to action on the billboard. And if you want to spend your money this way, if you are getting feedback, what you want to ask yourself with any of these ventures is, over the course of the year, what was my return on investment? Grocery carts, moving vans. I think I'll take moving vans a step deeper. Get your own moving vans. When your business gets to the point where you can offer moving vans to your clients, you've got a van that they could drive, just like the U-Haul they would rent if they were going to do it themselves. And you've got a couple of vehicles. Kenny Clausen down in, I'm going to say Tennessee. Kenny Clausen in Tennessee, a KW agent, has all this stuff. And it's worked for him. Online advertising, pay-per-click, all the SEO stuff. You guys with Command now, the opportunity to do Facebook ads through Command is awesome. A lot of our market centers have marketing directors that are helping you guys build out your social media in that regard. There's no wrong way to do it. I would say the one thing that you want to stay away from, where we always talk about the 80-20 rule, really important to remember when it comes to your business page, we want it to be 80-20, 80% lifestyle, 20% business. I think about going back to your dentist we just talked about. Does your dentist have a Facebook page where he or she are pounding their chest and talking about how many root canals they did today? Like, your clients, your future clients don't care about what you're doing for other people. They want to know what offer you value to them in the moment. So just be lifestyle based, be the mayor. Broadcast stuff. You can do radio segments. There's a lot of radio stations, local news-based radio stations that will give you an hour at cost, but they'll give you an hour of airtime in the morning on a weekend morning. Well, nobody's listening to me. I appreciate that. But when you sit and create the content to fill that hour on Sunday morning at your local news radio station, you can take that and make a podcast out of it. You can shoot video. You bring your guests in and they're going to push and all the segments around for you. So it's a really good idea. Some of our larger agents, big teams, might be on local television doing a half an hour listing update. Live social media. Everybody is holding their television station in their hand. You can go live anytime you want. Well, we're going to plan that. It's going to take me a few months. Just push play. The great Liz Landry. I think she's I think she was just voted MAPS Coach of the Year. Liz Landry said, the fear of the red dot, the fear of hitting the record button or the play button or the live button is, well, I don't like the way I look and sound. This just in. This is how you look. This is how you sound. If I could have changed any of this for you today, clearly I would have. I mean, even God's trying to blot out my face so you don't have to stare at it, right? In the grand scheme of things, this is how you look and sound always. And you still have friends. So it's working. Share it with more people. You're overthinking it for sure. And blogs, the power of a blog, if you can become the local expert, because again, it's going to serve all people. The people want to watch video. A lot of people do, right? When you're looking at social media, the paragraph, you'll scroll by. The paragraph of the picture, you'll look at the picture and read a little bit of the paragraph. The video, you're going to push play, right? Don't overthink that.
I will be the voice of I will be the proud voice of millennials here, everyone. YouTube,
Yeah.
videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube, please, for the love of God, use YouTube.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
you're welcome. That's a
That's
free
your
$1
television
million
station.
hack right there.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
just be on YouTube.
Just start posting.
Video
Just
has
start
been the
posting.
new thing for 10 years. It's
Yeah,
working.
I mean, yeah, I'm a senile citizen. And if I hear one more of our new agents saying, I'm thinking about getting into video, like she's here, she's arrived, she's waiting on you now, right? She's not waiting for you to be like, oh, I think I might get into video. It's all video. Our class, video, right? So, and we're so busy picking out, I want to make sure this is perfect, that's perfect. It's never going to be perfect. We want to make progress. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Direct mailers. We talked about this. EDDM, every door direct mail through the U.S. Postal Service. And there's also another level of it called informed delivery. And I think if you're going to do this, double down and do informed delivery. So you can sign up for informed delivery through the Postal Service. You'll get an email every day. Aisha's shaking her head. She says, yes. You get an email every day and it will tell you what's coming in the mailbox, which is usually disappointing because it's a lot of windows, people looking for their money. Hi, Eversource. We're having a great month. So as I'm scrolling through black and white, those are all just hard pieces of mail coming. But then there's one that is like a postcard, but it's from Zoe Kirkpatrick Productions and it's in color. I can click on that because she made informed delivery live for me as a client. I can see in my email and click on a robust, colorful postcard and it pulls me to whatever she wants it to be. It could be your open house this weekend. It could be just listed, just sold. So EDDM, you're going to choose your routes, every door direct mail, which you basically drop off a box of 500 postcards to serve the routes that you purchased within your town or your zip code that you're attacking. Informed delivery is that next level. It's a phenomenal opportunity because everybody looks at their mail. Just be different mail. That's the point of that. Special events, if you're doing cards, if you're having an event and you're sending out cards for that, I'm going to tell you right now, don't get caught up in doing mailers and you've got to get KW letterhead and it's got to say Marshall Rodriguez. It doesn't. Go to the Christmas tree shop and buy 4,000 note cards that have a puppy on it, have a flower on it, have nothing on it, and just send them out. So they're little note cards. They look like an invitation, right? And they'll get opened. Everything else is going to get filed. Send out something that looks like a personal note card and let it be a personal note card. And yes, there's a cost to that because you got to chuck a stamp on it. But if you're doing this consistently, it will grab people's attention. Quarterly market updates. This could be either every 3 months or you could do it monthly. People just do a market update. Our most successful agent here at 463, his name is Chris Carr. He's in the Deerfield area. When he started, he was probably doing about 100 people. I think the last time I spoke to him, he's probably around 12,000 people. He's purchased all the routes in the area. 12,000 people every 30 days get his newsletter. And he is a high C. He does not want to make calls. He's happy to take calls and his phone rings. And they're like, and the one big change he made, this is huge. You're going to want to write this down. The one big change he made in the last few years, it used to be the Chris Carr newsletter. Now it's the Chris Carr team newsletter. Big change, big change. But verbally, people read that and they're like, oh my God, it's not just him and his cat anymore. And one of the first calls he got when he made that little semantical change was, hi, I'd like someone from your team to come out and list my home. And it's him and his wife, Jill, and a printer, clearly, right? Because he'll print up all the stuff. He goes down to the post office, drops them off. And that's when it says current resident, that's EDDM. And he has built his business on it. And now he's referral based because his uncle passed away and he's milking a goat right now in Connecticut, but he's still doing real estate passively. It's ridiculous, right? It's his one thing. Promotional items and swag. Don't get lost in this kind of stuff. But again, if you've got one of your short people play sports and they need water bottles or they need t-shirts or towels or anything for the sports team, yeah, brand it up, right? You can brand it up and consider it a write-off. You got to talk to your tax people about that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm certainly not a CPA. But promotional items for sure, right? Just don't overspend on the swag. Make sure it makes sense for you. We have some teams that they swag out hard and then they're looking at like a buy. Everybody's got a t-shirt already, you know, and don't put, if you're running a golf tournament or anything, do not put dates on anything. Make your swag evergreen. Nobody wants to walk around with a 2015 water bottle, right? It's sort of gross if they're walking around. They should probably burn it and get a new one just because of health reasons. But other than that, don't date stuff. Don't do it. Just a recommendation. Public relations. Actually, one of our agents in Lowell had a great story. He was on the 2:00 call this past month with Jen Bovey. His name escapes me. He's out of our Merrimack Valley Market Center in Westford, Mass. And he, I believe, is a member of the Cambodian community. And the mayor in Lowell is Cambodian. And they got connected. And he's now working as a liaison for the mayor. Like, this is sort of a joke because I joke with you guys, be the mayor of your town. He's the mayor of Lowell now, or sidekick to the mayor of Lowell, right? Leaning into those conversations. If you have anything besides English as a second language, lean into that. Make sure your market center knows. It's a huge opportunity. And advice columns. Again, you're thinking right now, well, I can't give advice. I don't know anything. When you get to a point where you could interview somebody and bring advice in, you could bring in your broker on your podcast eventually and help people with that. When you start to do a podcast, should you lean into a podcast, you start to bring your lender in. You don't have to worry about content. You just bring guests in, you edify them, ask them questions, and you look like the straw that stirred the drink. And we talked about sponsorships too. There's a whole bunch of ways for you guys to do marketing. Most of what you could do after we finish this class is free and it's waiting for you in Command right now. So seek out your Command account, seek out if you have a marketing director at your market center, and if you have a tech trainer at your market center, you should be in relationship with those people. If you're on a team, go and find out from your team if there's any stones that are unturned that you haven't leaned into yet to do marketing within your team. And most of your stuff is probably being done on behalf of you by your team, but your team also wouldn't be upset if you were doing stuff as long as you're branding the team I trust. But again, that's a conversation for you and your team lead. Eric.
Yeah, I was just going to say, kind of on the topic of marketing, but more indirect, and I apologize if this is something you were going to get to, but if anybody here hasn't already spoken with their market center about the different committees and whatnot, there's a lot of cool things that committees do too, just to get your name out there. You know, it's more of coming from contribution, but it's all visibility.
Yeah.
You know, where, you know, Red Day, where you go out and serve the community. Yeah. We were talking about putting on a workshop for school age, working age kids that might come from economically depressed areas, to show them that there is a path to home ownership, to break that cycle of not having generational wealth be an attainable goal. And so things like that, they're not, you know, it's not, again, not direct marketing. You're not saying, hey, use me, but you're getting your face and your name out there in the community in a positive way. And that's all stuff that can be found through conversations at the market center.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, and when Eric's talking about the committees, when we form our ALCs every 12 months, so every January, your ALC gets reborn. And there's usually 9 to 12 people on your ALC. And within that ALC, there'll be all the committees, the growth committee, the education committee, the Red Day committee. So reach out to your team leader and find out from them if there are any committees within the ALC that are currently underserved. Jump on that, certainly be involved without fail. Please go to in your calendar, write this down. Go to Thursday. Is it May 12th? I believe Thursday, May 12th. It's the second Thursday in May. It's always the second Thursday in May is Red Day. You should take that day off and just be at your Red. Every market center on the planet shuts down to do service within the community. And that's something you should be at, because you'll meet all sorts of people that you haven't met yet. Most of us have been dormant for a couple of years. We've been doing these, you know, socially distanced Red Days. We're going to be back boots on the ground at our market center. I trust yours is too. So find out from your team leader if there are any committees within the ALC that need more bodies, more boots on the ground, and get involved that way. And to Eric's other point too, like just even within your town too, you know, hey, if there's an opportunity that you can do some fundraising for your son's lacrosse team, you're now making phone calls. And I'm calling and saying, hey, Eric, it's Tim Lindsay with Co-Brown Lacrosse. We're doing a fundraiser. We're selling this. We're selling peanuts. We're selling M&Ms, whatever. But the conversation eventually is just going to be like, you know, before you're hanging up, hey, Eric, just so I know, hey, what do you do for work? and he tells me he does X, Y, or Z. Then he's gonna ask me, well, what do you guys do? Maybe he doesn't ask me on the first phone call, but now I know, and I've got his phone number because I'm on this committee where I got all this access to all this stuff. Now, don't step on anybody's toes. If you're calling to raise money for a school system, I'm not stealing that phone list, but I'm making myself a member of the community. Jason Abrams, our VP of industry, would say this. What are you currently near that you're not in? It's a lot of things that we're very close to, and we just haven't turned that stone over and said, okay, I can actually use this to benefit myself, to become a member of this community, right? We'll usually start with our commonalities. And once we share a commonality, people feel endeared to us. It's a lot easier to make them a Met. And we know our Mets are going to buy and sell with us faster than our unmets. Questions, comments, concerns on those lists? Yes, no, maybe.
Tim, I wanted to just highlight something you said briefly in the earlier on in this.
Briefly in the earlier. That's my new book.
Briefly
It
in
comes
the
out next
earlier,
fall.
in the
Yeah.
earlier section.
Yeah.
He said, he was talking about Chris Carr, and he said that's his one thing. So if anybody's looking at this list and thinking, I'm like, okay, all right, I gotta figure out some kind of podcast ad, and I gotta start a YouTube channel, and I guess I also have to do a newsletter thing, and then I guess I should also do the right, like, whoa, hold on.
Oh, I thought we had to do all those things, Zoe. No. Okay.
So what might a better strategy be in terms of your best and highest use of your resources of finances and time, is to do one of these things at a really high level?
Because again, to Zoe's point, the marketing pieces, any of our marketing endeavors are going to come typically at some sort of a cost. There'll be a lot of free things you can execute within Command. But, if you're doing it, EDDM, any of that kind of stuff, there'll be some sort of a cost attached to it. And that being said, we want to make sure that we definitely have 3 or 4 irons in the fire for prospecting. What are the things you do to prospect? You probably have your one silver bullet that, when I do this, I get business, but we want some other things, because people's number one thing before COVID might have been eradicated by COVID and our inability to connect with each other. So make sure you have 2 or 3 things that you can lean into from a prospecting standpoint. And with marketing, start with one thing. And if that's something within Command that's free that you can do and execute consistently, then add something else. But don't grab your credit card to start the next marketing endeavor. We want to start to, we talk about leading with revenue. We want to use the money that we're getting from our real estate business to continue to lean into that. So don't start spending marketing dollars if you don't need to. I would argue right now, has anybody bought their business cards yet? And if you're a veteran agent, of course you have, right? But some of you are like wondering, is that the right background color? Did I use the right font? And then you're going to go buy 5,000 business cards. Please don't do that. Again, have your local conversations with your coaching staff, with your leadership at your market center. With our ability to hand out our mobile app to our people, that's the digital business card they're never going to lose, right? So you do not need 5,000 business cards. You need just enough to have some on you. And I would argue, when you do run into somebody, when I run into Zoe and we have a conversation, if I really want to give her my business card, I can induce the ask by asking her for her business card. Be intriguing enough to be asked for your business card, first of all. Don't hand them out like Pez, because we know where they go. With the mailer you sent out that nobody wants to read, right? It gets thrown out. But I would say one of the very few white lies I'll tell you guys to use, when Marshall says, hey, Timmy, do you have your card? Man, I just gave out my last one. Do you have your phone? Because now I can get 15 touches out of this. He grabs his phone. I give him my app. I make sure he loaded it up properly and he chose me as his agent. We break party. And I then send him a handwritten note with 2 business cards inside. Marshall, great seeing you. I trust you've been using the app. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'll give you a call later in the week. I'm going to infer the next conversation. And then here's the business card you asked for the other day. So one for your fridge, one for your wallet, one for your wife's hobo bag, because I feel like everybody's wife has like the bag that carries everything, the kids, the cats, the kitchen sink, right? Gets lost in there. But I'm doing the follow-up too, right? But how many touches did I just get in a 24, 48-hour period just by saying I don't have a card on me? And I got to be honest, in the last 2 years, I haven't carried any cards in quite a while because I haven't seen any humans. It's like the Walking Dead out there, but everybody's back out now. Have some cards. Don't overinvest in business cards. You'll regret it. Then you can call and thank me later. So don't. Ian.
Yeah, I already made that mistake.
Yes, for the win. I just love the validation, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but check this out too. So I ordered my business cards and they came in and they screwed up the area code. Instead of 401, it was 410. Man, I was so pissed.
Did you call them back?
Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
in the process of getting that fixed.
Yep.
But another thing on top of that, what you can do is go into one of those websites and transfer your contact information into one of these barcodes.
Amen.
So even if you
Yep.
only have one card, be like, oh, you have your phone, they scan that and
Yep.
it's
Boom.
in their phone. They got
Yes, sir.
everything that they need.
Yep.
So they can be helpful.
Yep. Yes. Just don't get 5,000, especially.
Right.
And if
instead
you
of
do
being
get
like-
5,000, make sure they get the zip code right.
Right. Instead of
Yep.
being like, oh, do you have your phone? Here's my name, here's my number. All they have to do is scan that and boom, it's all
Awesome.
in there.
It's a great talking point though, Ian. You're like, hey, by the way, you probably won't notice they screwed up my zip code on this particular card, but you don't really need mine. I just need yours.
Yeah. It's like, what do I do with
Right.
these
Yes.
now?
Yeah. Yeah. They're
I got
coasters.
like
buddy.
1,000 of them.
Yeah. You give them to the people that you don't want to talk to because they'll never find you because the zip code's wrong. There you go.
Yeah.
They're your enemy business cards. Yeah. So how do we know? And we want to talk about some of these questions. How do we know where the customer is and how do you meet them there? Where do you guys, let's start with this. Where do you guys want to be of influence? We're going to have this conversation. Then we're going to go to the men's and ladies room and you guys can heat up your
Neighborhood.
muffins. Yep. Who said neighborhood?
Eric, right here.
Oh, hey, buddy. Yeah. I mean, start small. I mean, our most successful agents started small, right? Just take it from a Gary Keller standpoint, right? When he got started, and this is before 83, because he started Keller Williams in 83, but even before then, he was, I think his freshman year, he talked about in his freshman year, he had like, I forget what the number of sales was. It was awesome. His sophomore year, he was terrible. He told us that, so I can tell you that. And then he got his feet under him and he started to build his systems and his models, which is why he wrote the book and shared it with us. But if you think about it, he started just inside Austin, right? He didn't start reaching out and putting market centers in New England until the early 2000s, right? So for all those years, he was just taking care and making sure he was foundationally sound there. So within your neighborhood, right? So right now, and let's just call your phone your neighborhood right now. If I grabbed anybody's phone, pick on Aisha because she's fun to pick on. I grab Aisha's phone and I just scroll through your contacts and I hit play. And we're calling Aunt Thelma. That sounds like a fun name. And she picks up. Do you have an Aunt Thelma? Did I nail it? No, there's no Aunt Thelma. She picks up and I'm like, hey, Aunt Thelma, this is Tim, a friend of Aisha's. I was just calling to see if you knew what she did for a living. How well would that go with everyone in your phone? I'm picking on you, Aisha, so you can answer.
So I think about 70% of them already know.
Okay. So we'll leave you with this because Zoe and I are having this conversation with our agents here all the time. Even if you are perfect in your conversations, and like you just said, 70%, right? 70%. So the video game, and when I say you guys are never going to have everyone in your phone know, the reason for that is if you're playing the video game correctly, it's an impossibility. Because for Kaylee Johnson to call Aisha today and connect their friends, this is her, since she got her license, this is her 5th phone call to Aisha, right? And if she's doing it right, and she is, because Kaylee's awesome, she's asking Aisha every time, who do you know that I should know? Who do you know that we can serve? So Aisha is giving her one more person to add. So next time she talks to you, Aisha, it's her 6th conversation with you. And she's about to have her 1st conversation with Tim, right? So the grist in the middle just keeps on showing up. It's the hamster on the wheel, which is a horrible visual because you're all exhausted by thinking about that already. And that's the video game that we're playing at a real high level, right? The other side of this coin, before I send you on break, the other side of this coin is when somebody does come to Zoe and I, and we do have a few brave souls that have been like, Nailed it. Everyone on my phone knows. Talk to them all 7 times, like you're going to hermetically seal it in a Ziploc and put it on the shelf, right? It is strategically an impossibility to say that you've done that. Although if you're willing to claim that, I would double down and ask you, so everyone in your phone that knows you're in real estate, Aisha, do they understand that you require their help to do what you do in real estate? And that's usually a hard no. And it's the proximity effect on this. There's 2 different things that people get freaked out by. Your good friend, Kaylee Johnson, is on the treadmill next to you at Planet Fatness every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 4:30. And you're like, well, Kaylee knows what I do. She definitely knows what I do. And you're both on the treadmill. You're like, it'd be stupid if I brought this up. She knows what I do. Okay. If you turn to her and said, Kaylee, I know that you know I'm in real estate. And I know you've seen the memes on social media, right? Of whatever all the civilians think we do every day. Do you understand, Kaylee, that I require your help to do real estate? They don't. They think you guys walk into your market center at Keller Williams and there's like a unicorn and a soft serve ice cream machine and a gumball machine of leads, just spitting up money in leads, right? Does anybody, if you have that, I'm leaving my market center to come to yours. Is that available anywhere? And we have a great company, but that's not how it goes. We have to get our people to connect us with their people so their people can become our people. Who do you know that I should know? Who do you know that we can serve? Well, what do you mean by that, Aisha? I'm glad you asked him. We're looking for listings for our buyers, buyers for our listings, and talent for our team. I call it the BLT of real estate. Another food analogy. You're welcome, right? Buyers, listings, and talent. But we always want the listings first. Does anybody on this call, we've been here for an hour now. Does anybody on this call have too many listings? Does anybody on this call have too much money in the bank? Does anybody on this call want another buyer? Maybe you do. I'm not being judgy, but if you have one buyer that is still looking, you can reverse engineer your listing appointment, correct? Because if I know what Aisha is looking for a house, it's my job to go hunt now. She's given me a hunting license to go get the house for her. And we're going to drill down on this in a second when we get back. We have to stop saying in front of the humans that there's no inventory. There's a ton of inventory. We have to drag it to the edge of the driveway and slap a price tag on it, correct? There's a ton of inventory. It's our job to make it for sale. We are at 10:20. Can you guys be back? I don't know. What do we want? What do you guys need? Deep knee bends, men's room, ladies' room, English muffin, coffee, deep breath.
Call it 10:30.
10:30. All right, let's get back at 10:30. And we'll keep talking about marketing. Thank you so much for your time today, guys. We'll see you in 10 minutes. And if you got questions, comments, concerns, we'll hang out.
And/or you can put them in the chat.
Sure. I didn't get a chance to use my green mic cover on Thursday, so I'm using it today.
I know.
The first full day of spring. It's the vernal equinox at 463.
Yes.
It's very exciting. Very exciting.
Yesterday, Octavia put on a floral dress and
Yep.
pointed to like the
I did
one
too.
leaf.
So I wore to
Like the
church.
one
Yeah.
leaf on the dress and was like,
Yep.
Mama, I'm wearing green for St.
Yep.
Patrick's Day.
There
I
you
was
go.
like,
Crushing it. Yeah.
awesome. You got
Crushing
it. You totally got it.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you guys do in your house? Because you're Greek, he's Irish. So like, do you make like green baklava? Like,
No,
what do you do? What
well,
happens?
they're hard into Scottish, so they don't.
Oh.
I don't know if St.
Oh.
Patrick's is a
Kirkpatrick
thing.
is Scottish. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, St.
Alright.
Patrick's is not really a thing for us.
Does anybody do ancestry.com? I'm so
Oh, my aunt is hardcore into
yeah,
it.
I'm so fascinated.
Yes.
So my parents, years ago, my dad was always into it. So my dad's got an ancestry account that we now need to link to my wife's since he's gone. But he had us do the ancestry test for either ancestry or for 123andMe. Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
And you
Evan did it. My brother did it, and I was like, you know what? We have the same genes. I'm cool. I
well,
can
so you
just
got to do it
use
first thing in the
yours.
morning before you brush your teeth. But you're making my
is that
point.
it?
You don't. Here's my point. So you got to do it in the morning before you brush your teeth, and you have to. I'll use the correct term. You have to expectorate into this tube, and you have to keep waiting for the bubbles. I'm ruining everybody's snack.
This
right
is
now.
terrible.
Yeah, you have to wait for all the bubbles to dissipate.
No,
So
I'm
you have enough.
definitely
You have
never
enough.
doing it.
You have enough stuff in the tube to send off. Then you get it back. So my dad had my sister Jennifer, my middle sister, my eldest sister Stephanie, and myself do it, and we all get them back. And like I'm more McTastic than my oldest sister. And she was first. Like, wouldn't you think he had more shamrocks for her than he, like, it's just, I find that fascinating that I come up. So I actually, we were just having this conversation.
Well,
Janina sent me the screen share.
No, because I mean, have you ever seen my brother? I don't think you have seen my brother.
Not since
'Cause
Christmas.
Really, no, because
Yeah.
actually, maybe I should do it now because he looks like a little leprechaun.
No. Okay.
And I say that with the most love for like
Yeah.
one of my favorite people in the whole world. Bright red hair, like,
Oh,
like he's a
Interesting.
walking sunburn, freckles, like the whole deal, blue eyes.
like my
right?
son Cameron. Yes, he's like a cartoon
Yes,
character.
and
yeah.
and I am like a walking, I don't know, Grecian vase or something. Like
Yeah,
I
you look-
have none of
yeah,
that.
you're a yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I am, yeah.
So my Ireland comes up 54%, and then they break it down to Donegal, and then Connacht, Ireland, and then they go into Scotland is 19%, Norway 16%.
Oh, nice.
There's
Got some,
not a piece of Viking in me at all. I assure
Viking
you. Yeah.
invasion.
Can you
there
see me on a
somewhere.
boat getting splinters and crying? Like, no, there's none of that. I want none of that. And then England and Northwestern Europe, 11%. My sister Stephanie's like, I think she's in the low 40s on Ireland, which is like, and then Jennifer's a little bit high. I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's interesting.
Anyone else ever done this? I have to go for a water break, so somebody else can talk to Tim for a minute.
I'll just talk to myself. I think they figured that out. Like like everybody's got their
You need a
camera off. He's
babysitter?
still talking.
Okay, thanks
Yeah.
for taking over, Trisha.
I'll keep him company.
Tim, are you going to the library tonight?
No. Why? Because it's Monday.
Well, that too.
The running joke, the library on Monday. Yeah.
The Mindy. But I swore I saw your name on the reservation list for today. You're coming in at 5 for business with 5 people, right?
No. Well, let me say this concerning that. I think I know who that is.
Someone, oh really? It's not you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully they're not using my tab. No, I think I know what that is. That is that I believe, and I believe it's spelt differently. It's not SEY, right? Because I'm outlining.
I think it was SAY.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that Tim Lindsay or Lindsay,
The
that
sassy ones.
I believe, yes, he's the one that talks a lot. The other one. No, I believe that is the owner of Formax,
Okay.
a
I don't know
printing
what that
company.
is.
And well, it's funny because our dear friend Jason Westcott, he was
Mhm.
at the garage like maybe 3 years ago, picking up his car, and there's this ridiculous Ferrari on the lift, and he's like, "That's gorgeous. Whose is that?" Mechanic's like, "Oh, it's Tim Lindsay's." He's like, "No, I know Tim Lindsay. He's got a Ford Fusion and a bad golf swing. Like that's not his car." Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that if it's a business meeting with 5 other people and Tim Lindsay, I think it's the owner of Formax.
That's really funny. I actually am glad that I brought this up because I put a note on that reservation and I was like, Trisha's going to pay for their first round of drinks.
Oh yeah, pull that. No, save that for when I show up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
God.
now I'm definitely going to call my manager and be like, mm-mm.
Well, I gave you guys a warning because my son Aiden was hoping to take his girlfriend out for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And the wife and I were headed over to Salt at Wentworth.
I used to
So-
work there. Oh God.
So we were booked there, but so Aiden's just like, I'm trying to book Valentine's Day. This is like a week before Valentine's Day. I'm like, well, first of all, I made your reservation for your mother.
Should have
and I
done that 3 weeks ago.
4 years ago. Yeah. So we're scrambling to get him in, and he ended up going in on Valentine's Day, which was a Monday.
Mhm.
And he was in there with 4 o'clock reservations. I'm like, well, you're going to be in there with a whole bunch of people that look like me because we're trying to
Yeah.
get home for Lawrence Welk, right? So
Right.
so he was in there for 4 o'clock, but I got a hold of DiPietro, and I just texted him real quick, and I said, hey, my son's coming to make sure he behaves.
Nice.
So it wasn't that expensive because obviously they're juniors in high school and they don't drink. So that was
Cute.
that was a pleasure,
We
but
love
yeah.
those tables.
yeah. They had a very good time. They had a very good time. You were probably there that day. Were you working
I
on
don't
Valentine's Day?
usually work Mondays, but I was,
Okay.
did I work on Valentine's Day this year? I don't even remember.
Yeah. You had a really good time.
Oh, that's awesome. How was Salt? Did you like it?
Yeah. You know how we joke about New Year's Eve and St. Patrick's Day being like amateur hour,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, there was a party, the back room, not the
Yeah.
wine room, but the main room before the wine room.
The PDR, private dining room. Yes.
Yes. My wife and I were in the corner table before the PDR.
Yep.
And one of the center tables had a conglomerate of humans. I don't even know I won't even call them a party. Yeah, you couldn't like my wife is just like dorking out trying to figure out. She's like, I'm trying to figure out the dynamics. This is so confusing. There was one girl who decided to, and this is always breathtaking to me, because if you think about it, just anytime as a parent, when our boys were shorter, even if you're at Applebee's on Friday night, I don't want my kids ever acting up in public, because this might be somebody's only date of the week, only date of the month. This is their night out, right?
Right.
So all these people are at Salt for Valentine's Day. That's on purpose. Most of the people at Salt on Valentine's Day are staying. Like that's what they say when they come over to your table. You know, are you staying with us? And I'm like, no, we're going back to Stratford. We've been married for 26 years. So yeah, we're just out for dinner.
Just passing through.
The middle table, the girl decided to get on the phone and tell 5 different people, 5 different conversations where she was at the top of her lungs. Like I was waiting for the wait staff to just jump in and be like, hi.
Oh no.
We can hear you. Like,
Yikes.
Welcome to America. Like everybody else is trying to enjoy dinner. It was just, so that was, it didn't ruin our night, but it was interesting. Yeah. But the food was off the chart. It always is.
Oh, that's good.
It always is. Are we at 30? Almost.
All right. I'll be right back. All righty. Someone else babysit Tim.
Oh my God. This is where we're at.
I'm back to
somebody else,
we got you.
Somebody else keep it busy.
Tag team. I'll be right back.
Although, Aisha, you've been here the whole time. I have very kindly not pulled you in, but I'm just saying you could join. How you doing?
Tim is so politically correct with interesting, which is a great word. I would have used obnoxious, but he's a statesman and uses interesting, which I love.
Oh, I didn't see you were here, Doyle. Yeah, it was that Valentine's Day dinner was like taking selfies and stuff. Like, and I'm just so beyond that. Like, we're watching golf yesterday, right? The Valspar Open yesterday on TV. And like all these people are like, when the players end up over by the rope and all these people are shooting it. And I've always made fun of my wife when we're like our son's band concerts and she's recording.
Yes. I was just plugging myself back in.
Sure.
But I did have my hand raised earlier to share something.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
When we were talking just right before the break about, continuing to reach out to people in our phones and especially usually our loved ones. So I did this, when I got my license back in the very end of January. And I even reached out to my family members. I have a lot of family in Colorado and out in Washington State and California, and then in Oregon. So I even reached out to them. And then fast forward a couple months, my cousin just recently texted me last night, who is moving here back to the East Coast from Washington State, from Seattle. And he said, hey, are you a realtor? Do you have your license in Vermont too? And I said, well, no, I don't. I said, but thank you so much for remembering, what I said, because I think a lot of people don't understand, the general sphere of referrals in the industry. And so I said, I don't have my Vermont license. I said, but, I have a plethora of people in my market center, and we have an office up in Vermont now. So I can definitely help you out. If you guys found something, I can refer that out. And he's like, yes, like, let's talk, sometime this week. So just wanted to throw that out there as just being persistent about keeping in touch with all of your people and just making sure that they know that too, because that's really valuable. And a lot of people don't realize that and don't understand it. So.
Yeah. You talk to a lot of our top agents and they will definitely tell you that a big piece of their business came from referrals, and it's about being on purpose with that conversation. And I think that conversation, even regionally, has grown a little bit insofar as I think an agent would have told you 2 months ago that they would be willing to drive X amount of miles for a listing. And I think that circle logically has shrunk a little bit because of the challenge of filling your tank all the way to the top, right? So let's just be self-aware of that opportunity. And again, we hear a lot of people too, like, how are you marketing yourself to the other humans that sell real estate? So the blessing for us here at 463 is we've got our ability now to sell in Vermont, and we've got great friends in Vermont. Obviously, the Colchester Market Center is phenomenal. And we have agents who are on the western border of New Hampshire who are going to play across the border now. So we got that because it made sense. We also have our great friends up at Greater Portland, but we serve Southern Maine. And we also are allowed to serve Northern Maine because we don't have fences around where we serve, but we do have places where we concentrate. So if you are, not in communication, because we hear this all the time. Well, if you got 4,000 people in your phone, a veteran agent will be like, yeah, but like 1,500 of them are agents. And we immediately eradicate them from the conversation. No, there's a massive conversation to have. When's the last time you talked to the agents you've done business with in the last couple of years? Because they don't know if you survived COVID medically. They don't know if you survived COVID professionally. Like, get it back on the horn with them. Ask them how their business is doing. Maybe they pieced out. And maybe they're hyper close to you, just at another brokerage or another market center within your state, and they stepped away from real estate. Wouldn't you like to remind them that you're still in and you're happy to help the people that they know and love and trust? And if you are from elsewhere, like Kylie just mentioned a few different places around the country where she has family and friends, finding out who the top agents are. I'll issue you guys this challenge. Do you have a top agent in every state in the country? And I would argue at this point, most of us don't. And then you think about like, well, California is huge. I need more than one agent. You need one rock star in California. They know the other rock stars in California. But make sure so you can, within integrity, have a conversation with somebody and be like, oh my God, you're moving to California. And I just talked to Marshall Rodriguez, who's in Big Bear, right? And that'd be completely serendipitous, but it'd be awesome. And I'd be like, actually, I just talked to somebody. His name's Marshall. I'll put you in touch. As opposed to, yeah, I got a guy for you. He's going to be great. I'll connect you two kids. It's going to be awesome. Like, we don't want to go there. The same way to want to knock on the door and just say, I have a buyer for your house. It's a lot more fun. And it feels much better when you're knocking on our door saying, I have the buyer that wants to move into your house. When are you moving out? So, and there's campaigns that you can run for that on a regular basis. You can run a drip campaign on the agents that you're in relationship with to remind them that you're still here and alive and willing to help. I think we underplay that regularly. So start to have those conversations. And
you're taking
within
an awful
referrals.
long time to get started on your school day. Oh, sorry.
You okay?
Didn't realize I was unmuted.
I'm excited
Kylie?
about the school day.
Kylie, when those folks from Oregon, Washington, and California reach out to you and they're ready to go, give me a call. I've had a whole bunch of people coming this way from those territories and have connected with some really great agents out that way. Happy to pass those contacts along.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sue. I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Well,
no, good luck.
And Doyle makes a great point too. Within referrals, within command, you can see migration patterns. So if you are starting to look at, let's just say you grew up in Miami, Florida, and you take a look at Miami, Florida, and look in the last 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and you can see, wow, a lot of people are leaving Miami and they're going to New Orleans. They're going to Tuscaloosa, like whatever it is. Lord only knows that these people went because some business opened the new office there and people are heading that way. Or you can see where you used to live, people that are coming and going from New Hampshire, and start to create those relationships on purpose. So that's another huge thing is the migration patterns that we have that data for. It doesn't say who, it just says numbers and frequency. So it's pretty awesome because then you can track down the agent within, right? And this is where we get lost. Please be aware of this. If I'm looking for a great agent to help my friend Zoe buy a house in Malibu, California, do I want a great buyer's agent or a great listing agent? No disrespect, but stay with me on this. Zoe's going to be a buyer out in Malibu, California. Do I want a great buyer's agent or a great listing agent? I'd play the Jeopardy music. I'm waiting for somebody to answer. One person, one soul. Raise your paw. Say a word.
I was going to say listing agent.
Amen, sister. Right?
Because they know all the things that are on the market.
They already have the inventory, or they're good at creating the inventory. Right? No disrespect to our people that claim to be buyers agents. Right? Or are buyers agents on a team. Every team would like more listings. Right? So I think we get caught up in we overthink about what we're trying to do. want to send them out to a great listing agent. So taking action, creating a post-marketing materials and post-marketing materials in Command. So what has anybody run any sort of marketing campaign through Command? Has anybody run a marketing campaign through Command? Has anybody run a marketing command in America through the internet? Couple of nods. What'd you do? What have people done for online marketing?
I just made my first Instagram and Facebook page for my realtor.
Okay. What did that add? What was the ad? As the end user, what am I going to see on my newsfeed from Trisha?
It's pretty new, but like I took a picture of my house at sunset and I was like, from my front yard to yours. And I try to keep it like relevant with things that are happening. Like I did a St. Patty's Day post.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was the call to action?
The call to action. Well, I did like a poll on my story. So I tried to get people to interact that way.
Mm-hmm. What was the
kind
poll?
of fun. It was, what are you doing for St. Patrick's Day? And it was like, staying on the couch, going out.
Like a this or that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What did most people say?
Going out.
I
stayed on the couch.
Yes. Yeah, I think some super simple ones, and I say this all the time, and I see a few people post it. We want to just start conversation, and we want to start it without them feeling like they're getting cornered into I'll be over tonight to do something with you to get your home sold, right? So a super safe question right now, because we're 3 months into 2022, is do you intend to move in 2023? Right? Do you intend to move in 2023? Because it's a safer question to answer. Because if you ask them if they're going to move in 2022, they're like, oh, he's looking for business right now. Do you intend to move in 2023? And I know some of our agents have used this one. Are you currently, just a simple question on Instagram, and let people answer. You can create a poll if you want to. Are you currently living in your dream home? Because what do we know 99% of the people are going to answer? The no or not yet, right? And what about if you do have the unicorn? They're like, yes. And you're like, oh. Right. So I want to privately engage with these people off that page and find out from them what makes it a dream home, or what will their dream home be, and just get them talking. Or they're going to move in 2023. It's a safe answer to say, yeah, probably. Even if they're going to move in 2024, you can get started. You can start to have a conversation. Well, why don't we talk about the equity you have right now and have that equity update conversation, right?
Anybody who's running social media already, just a question. What's the goal with our social media and this call to action that Tim's talked about?
To turn the followers into contacts in Command.
Turn followers into contacts. Anybody else thoughts?
I think for me also, Zoe, I was going to say exactly second what Trisha said, but a lot for me is just getting yourself out there, and also leading with generosity and kind of letting them know that you have something to offer, like that you want to be the person that they, as Tim always says, know and love and trust, and like their market expert, and having that kind of like one-on-one connection with them so that you are earning their trust and building those relationships, and just keeping that dialogue like ongoing.
Mm-hmm. And how would you, or like anybody, like unmute and call out, like how would you do that through some social posts? Like what are some social posts that would create that relationship, that trust, that would tell people, I am your local expert here. I am the mayor of your neighborhood.
There's a lot of posts that you can get from Command as well as from Keller Williams Marcus Center page that you could, I mean, they just the other day they had, let me see, I don't even have it in front of me, but I usually share it. Anything that has to do with real estate, it could talk about, you know, the last thing they put up was something about, it was talking about what is capital gains tax. Just put it out there just to educate them and so many other things. There's people that might be selling their home and not thinking of buying another home. And you sit here and you're educating your followers with so much information that Keller Williams page, they post as well. It's on command. So when you're putting all this knowledgeable things out there and educating your followers, they're going to say, wow, Linda knows her stuff, huh? Really, it's just me posting it, but getting it from commands, but they don't know that. So it's good stuff, because even putting this up, I had a couple people reach out. Hey, Linda, you know, even social posts, if I'm consistently every day, I at least post 2 to 3 times a day. I'll talk about business as well as my personal life, but I keep it consistent, because yesterday, maybe those 10 followers weren't on Facebook, but now they are. So I'm just keeping it going every single day, just so I'm in their faces constantly talking about not only real estate, my life, everything. I'm just keeping myself active out there. And there's a lot of stuff on command that you can share just to educate your followers, so that way you look like the expert.
Yeah, for our region too, don't forget, every day, every Monday at 2 o'clock, you're going to see Jen Bovey and Brooke Silva. They're going to interview one of our great agents from the region. And then typically the second 15 minutes from 2:15 to 2:30, they're offering content for you guys to steal, right? R&D, rip off and duplicate, steal and post. And it's all stuff that, you know, obviously you don't have to think twice about. And as Nathan would say, don't overthink it. Don't change it. Just post it, right? And they're even giving you the caption to put with the picture.
Exactly.
And
it's
Linda's
on their
point,
page. It's on their page.
Yeah.
So just share it off their page.
and to Linda's point too, you don't have to know all the answers, right? You have to be the source of the source. Because when somebody approaches you with a question you don't have the answer for, great question. Let me speak to my team and find out more information for you. Let me put you in touch with a great lender.
Not only that, you're also educating yourself. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know about. Just read it, put it up there, and then you're able to answer questions, anything a little bit more in depth. I'm always like, you know what, let me get back to you on that. Let me find out some more. Another idea I had with social posting was, in the beginning of the year, I did I raffled off a gift card, and I just asked all my, I call it Facebook family friends, to help me build my business. And I asked everyone if they would be willing to share the information for me to build my database. And again, it was their name, phone number, date of birth, and email. And to be honest with you, they'll inbox you. If they're your friends, they're your family, they're going to provide it. And after, I just kept posting it every single day. Hey, don't forget deadline such and such. I messengered a lot of them as well, because they seem to overlook what you post sometimes. And I was able to get a lot of contacts that way. And then I went live and did a raffle. There's a way of getting the wheel online, and put all their names, and I raffled off 3 gift cards. It was just fun.
Yeah, the one more thing that I'd have you do, right? Because I know if we went into anybody's command, the one category everybody's suffering on is the physical address. Right. So for you to create a robust experience for your end users, we want their name spelled correctly, their cell phone, their email address, and their physical address, which some people might be apprehensive on. But if you're doing what you did, Linda, even like doing a reverse bold, if you're going to have some prize, hey, I'm giving it away this Saturday, this week, please give me a phone call. So we can connect and I can have all the information I need to put you in the running. And one of the things you're asking for is that physical address. Because when we know their physical address, we can start to speak to them and create neighborhood pages for them and really drill down on being the mayor. Like Zoe was asking about what makes you the mayor of your neighborhood. If you live in an area, and a lot of you guys do that are in Rhode Island, here in New Hampshire, I always pick on, there's a place in Wolfboro called the Wolf Trap. It's a seasonal restaurant. And my great agent is going to remind me that they're open this weekend. And then when Columbus Day hits, they're going to remind me it's the last chance to go there and get a lobster roll and a cocktaini. And that doesn't, it's not much, but my agent's reminding me that they know what's going on. They have their finger on the pulse of Wolfboro. So if you've got seasonal restaurants on the shore of Connecticut, on the shore of Rhode Island, any kind of seasonal restaurant, any kind of happening, that it's a big deal when it opens for the season, and it's a big deal when it's going to be they're going to do their last sitting. That's the kind of stuff that's more important than I just got another listing. Said with love, our people don't care. They care about the information that's vital to them. And that's when you're creating value. I think Eric had his hand up.
Yeah, I was literally going to mention the growth call. So no
Awesome.
no foul.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Perfect.
awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody ever used designs before? We're in our tech section here. You're welcome.
You're
We're
welcome.
in command. If everybody's ever, this is command. You should know this.
I've never seen this. This is exciting.
What?
Yeah, cool.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, everyone, for exploring.
Can
with
you
Kim.
scroll down, because you're going to make my
Welcome.
point. Can you scroll down to your database health?
Oh yeah. No,
Addresses,
you guys,
physical addresses.
bad.
Even Zoe, the dorkiest person in my life, is getting a hard 25% on her
You
addresses.
guys, it's not great. I'm a little embarrassed.
Yeah. I got a ton of people. I don't know where they live. Well, you're in real estate.
No idea.
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal.
Somewhere. I don't
Yeah.
know. But see, here's the point. I know where they live. Ish. I can sort of tell
yeah.
you. But I can't
Yeah,
mail
they-
them anything.
Tim lives in Stratford
do it.
in a yurt. Yeah, where does he live?
Well, no, I literally,
Yeah.
do. Yes, well, that's different. We don't have to
Yeah.
go there. Okay, designs. Anybody ever use designs? Hands up, hands down. What on earth are you talking about? Linda knows what yep. Okay, hands up. We got him. Okay, cool. How far do we want to go with this? Somebody tell me how detailed should I be here talking us through designs? I can go pretty deep.
You got a good solid 68 minutes left, kiddo. Fire away.
I'd say very, Zoe.
Very. Oh, I love you, Carol. You know that
Same
already.
here,
Thank
Zoe.
you.
This is a big part of my GPS, so I'm actually really interested in seeing this.
Amen, sister.
True. It's rare I get to actually fulfill somebody's GPS. Trisha. All right, here we go. So these are my my saved designs. This is my I don't know, my designs archive. I make our morning news in the market center here. So I've got a bunch of holiday themed items in my archive.
I used to do all these, but she ripped them away from me. So I'm just kidding. I never did all these.
He's totally kidding. He's literally never made one before.
Oh, that's so judgy and true. Yeah, keep going.
Sort of love, always, right? Okay, you want to make a new one? Go up here. You can either import a design, right? If you have one on your computer, if you're fancy, or you can create one.
Mhm.
You can choose, what are we creating? We're doing an email, social, print, video. Command has video now. We're going to do social here. And if you have a listing that's already in Command, one of our things here is talking about marketing a listing. If you have a listing on the MLS, that means it's also in the KWLS, which is the Keller Williams listing service.
Yes.
S.
Yes.
Which means if you have a listing in here, it will show up. I don't have any right now, ever, but if you had one, your listings would show up and it would say, which one do you want? Which one do you want to pull in? You choose your listing. It would pull in the photos that you have from your listing. Okay. We're not going to do that because I will
For
break
clarity's sake, Zoe and I are not in production. That's why we're busy.
That's
now.
why.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We're just busy
Yeah.
doing this. Yes.
Yeah. And we are non-compete with you all. You're welcome. Okay. So then what are we going to post? We're not posting about K-score, but we are maybe posting for a listing, right? Just listed. Maybe I'm posting about my new property. Pop quiz. Nobody cares about your under contracts or just solds. Do people still care about your just listeds?
Well,
Getting a yes
the
from
local
Kylie.
neighborhood would care about just sold and just
Yes,
listed.
true.
Right?
Yes, your neighborhood would care about just
sold
Yep.
because you're building your story brand in their mind.
Yep. Yes, everyone wants to know about listings. Everyone wants to know about listings. because as Tim said, we want to stop the conversation if there aren't any, right? So especially if we have one, we want to broadcast that wide, because it's not that there's none, you have one. Okay, so you can scroll through these templates. There, like as you see, there are many, right? Pick one you like. I'm going to do this one. All right. This looks like a good Facebook, Instagram post. Awesome. Again, if you pulled in your listing, you would have in my assets, you would have a selection of photos to choose.
It's a great picture of me.
Right? It's very good. All right. Well, I don't sell, this isn't 123 Spruce Road City. This is, somebody yell out an address for me.
12 Lilac Lane.
Lilac Lane is definitely in the Lilac City, which has to be Rochester.
Yep.
Anybody know that
3867
zip code? 03867.
Well, presuming,
All right.
presuming, yes.
Just listed. We'll keep it here. You plug in your info. We're getting that. I like this little detail built in 2015, right? Let's say 19. Awesome. DBA name. I don't work at DBA name. Where do I work? I work at Keller Williams Coastal. Does anybody know this fancy trick for the logo? You can either click just on your logo and it pops up a new one in the center, big ugly spot, right? So then we have to click and drag around to where we want it. But that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to delete that. So I'm going to go up here to the trash can, remove. Instead, I can click on the logo and it will always say KW DBA name, which is a flash to all of us. Put in your Keller Williams logo, your Market Center logo there. And if you have it saved, you can click this little recycle icon, replace logo. Click that instead, and there it goes, right in the same place. I don't have to resize it. I don't have to move it. I don't have to delete that other one. It just pops right in. How did I get these in here? Anybody have their Market Center's logos saved in their command? Carly does. Carly, how'd you do it?
I imported them from Google, from our KWCLM, like from the Google Drive.
From the Google Drive. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. And how did we import them? We might go over this after.
Ooh, I think Robert might have helped me do it.
Market Center Tech Trainer, everybody.
Yes.
All right. You have one of those, contact them. Otherwise, I'll touch on it in a minute.
Shameless plug for him too. If you guys are in search, if your Market Center is still looking for their Market Center Tech Trainer and it's a hire that hasn't been made yet, we're happy to share this with you. It's KW. You want to write this one down. KW.
Oh, yeah.
TechTube. TECHTUBE. KWTechTube.com is going to pull you to our Market Center's YouTube page where all the Dorkalicious takes place. So there's like every class that we do gets simulcast to YouTube and to our Facebook page. And Robert is phenomenal. So you can get lost in the weeds there. Don't spend too much time there, but there's a great resource there if you need some help with these kind of things. He's doing tomorrow. You'll see 3 classes happening. We do Tech Tuesday every Tuesday. So you'll see all of his tech stuff and everything's well labeled. So you'll be able to find what you're looking for.
Yeah. And he's a much better teacher than I. So he also does a designs class. It's also on YouTube. There you go. One of the best things about using a KW design in designs is this compliant? Is this Market Center compliance? Like, would compliance say like, yep, you're good on this? Anybody have any idea anybody not know what I'm talking about when I say compliance? Is this a compliant image to post? All right, cool. The reason this is yes compliant is A, it's got your logo, your Market Center logo. B, down here, it's small, but KW made it. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's all right.
It's there.
It does say it is there. Each office is independently owned and operated. This does not have my name or my phone number on it. If I put my name and phone number on it, what else do I have to put on it in order for it to be compliant?
Your broker's name and number.
We already have the broker's name.
The logo.
But we need the
yes.
office number.
Yep.
Right. So if under here, and I also added my name and phone number, I also need to add my broker's, the office phone number over here. I can add the office phone number anywhere, but I would add it under here. And that is not a KW thing. That is a real estate law thing, right? And I'll check your laws, you know, in each state that you're in. Talk to your broker and your compliance department. But for the most part, that is because of real estate communication laws. Okay. This looks good to me. I feel like I'm good. I'm gonna download this just to be safe so I can use it in other places, but I don't have to. I can do a JPEG, I can do a PNG, I can do a PDF. If this were a video, I could download the video. Do I want to download if this is social, do I want to download it in a PDF form? If this is for Facebook, or I'm seeing a no. No.
If you're going to post it to my
PDFs.
MySpace, I would like a PDF to be able to print later. Yes.
I'm
for
pretty sure even MySpace won't accept a PDF.
I'm joking. So one real quick thing too, just to make sure that we're hyper clear on this. You would have your photography for 12 Lilac Lane.
Yes.
Which would replace the picture that's there. So all these stock
Correct.
photos you
In
can
fact,
use.
actually.
You can use at your pleasure with these stock photos. I would use these stock photos if I was doing a hunt for new listings. Looking for a bathroom like this? So are we. Thinking about listing? Call me today, right? I said bathroom. That's a kitchen. Don't poop in the kitchen. So if you're looking for, are you looking for a kitchen like this? So are we. Thinking about listing? Call us today. Don't know where you stand in the market? Happy to have an equity conversation. But we want to make sure that when we're posting about a specific we're not misleading with any photography that doesn't represent the actual property. And Doyle's here polishing her gavel. And we also want to make sure that when we're doing a listing on a home that was sold 7 years ago, we got our photography. We're not using the photography from 7 years ago. Not because it's old and it might not be up to date, because it's not property of ours.
Unless the only reason you can do that is if you wrote to the list agent from 7 years ago, asked them who the photographer was, got in touch with the photographer, and licensed that photography from the photographer, and you have that permission from the photographer in writing. That's how you can do that. Otherwise, it's not legal, because the photographer owns the copyright for these images, not the list agent. The list agent cannot give you permission to do that. It's not theirs to give. Thank you, Tim. Okay.
And I'd argue after 7 years, you might want to get new photos taken. Just saying.
Just saying,
Just-
yeah.
just saying.
Although, if the house was featured, for example, in Architectural Digest, those are images you want to get, because that would be highly relevant to your listing, even if they were a few years ago. And you're going to have to pay to license those images.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Okay. So we're going to download it. We're going to download in a JPEG or a PNG. Best practices for internet is PNG. Just trust me. JPEGs degrade over time. PNGs don't.
What does
And they're a
PNG
little
stand for?
crisper.
Probably not great.
Honestly, I don't know what it stands for, but that's not it.
I
I
stumped
don't
her.
actually know. Yeah, I don't know. PNG. We can Google it. Somebody can Google it and tell me. Carol, you got this. All right, done. I'm done. I have unsaved changes. Yes, I want to save. Always saved. Okay, and now it's here in my design archive here. Oh, if I want to re-edit it, I can click on it again. It'll bring me back. Okay. Now, if I want to use this in any way, clicking on it here, we just saw it doesn't do anything, because it just brings me back to the editor. But if I want to use it in, for example, a post, some kind of post, I go to campaigns. And this was a social post. So up here is where I can decide where my campaign goes out, right? I can do paid ads. And for right now, that's Facebook. I can do emails. I can do direct mail, and I can do social posts, right? I'm going to do this as a social post. Now, at a certain point, it's going to stop me because my Facebook account is not connected here, I think. Let's see. Live and scheduled posts. If I had scheduled posts here, it would tell me what they were. It would say, I have this to go out today, I have this to go out tomorrow, that to go out the next day. I want this to go out on, I'm going to say Friday the 25th, because most likely my listing is not in MLS yet because it's Monday. So, oh, this is for a team that I am no longer with, but this is where it's good to know. This is where my Facebook is connected to. Okay, and
toss up that fake post. They'll love it. Yep.
Well,
and for clarity's sake, too, correct
I
me.
will not definitely get a call instantly.
Yeah. Correct me when I'm wrong, Zoe. So just for clarity's sake, because I think people often wonder, all right, what's the differentiation between the smart plan and the campaign? The smart plan is something that you're doing to nurture the relationship along. The campaign is usually event driven. This open house,
or
this listing,
date driven, right?
Date specific. Yeah. Date specific. Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, the reason I'm doing this as this listing post as a campaign is because for clear cooperation's sake, if today's Monday, it's not in the MLS, at least in New Hampshire and Maine, I can't post this live to the peoples yet because that goes against clear cooperation laws. So I need to know that this is going out on Friday, and I definitely need to know it's going to be in MLS either 24 hours after or by the time this is posted. Know your clear cooperation laws, whatever those are in your states, ask your broker. Okay, what am I posting? I wanted to find that. Browse my designs library. Here's my just listed that we just did. I'm going to click on that. Give it some thinky time. I believe it's up, but let's trust it. I'm going to say just listed. What was it? 12 Lilac Lane. And I'm going to save it because I feel like.
Where did the Muffin Man live? What was his address? Isn't it in the song?
Drury Lane. It was Drury Lane.
Okay. I'm going to start using that. Everybody uses like 123 Maple or 123 Main Street. Let's start using the Muffin Man's address to go along with all the food analogies.
All right. When in doubt, reload. Everyone have fun with command. When in doubt, try it again. Mulberry Lane. Was it Mulberry Lane?
Was it Mulberry Lane?
Oh, Stephen, thank you so much. Portable Network Graphics. Thank you, Stephen. Much appreciated.
I love that. I love that.
Oh, here we go. Okay. It didn't get me before. All right. So if we needed to crop this for the type of post, Facebook can do square posts. So we're good here. But if it were a different size, I would just need to crop it to allow Facebook to read my post. Okay, here's where we're at. If we wanted to add more, if we wanted to add some of our listing images, right? And we made a design for that, go for it. There we go. And this is Designs Library. If, again, I had my listing in here in the KWLS, I could probably upload an image and it might be there, or I could upload it from my computer. Okay, so you can have a carousel just as you would if you were posting straight from Facebook. All right, get your caption right, feeling good about it. Have your link in there. doing business logo position, you can either have it on the right or the left. Oh, okay. So you see,
Doubled
it's
up, yeah.
actually putting one in here. It's doubling up for me. I already have one, so I'm going to click X because I know I already have a logo in my image. And it's doing that just to like save our butts in case we forgot. But so thank you to Command for doing that. And we already got it. And we could also include my ownership statement, which is each office is independently owned and operated. We're
Yep, which
using a
was there.
KW design. We already have that, so we don't need to do that. Thank you. And we can either schedule the post or publish immediately. Like I said, we want to make sure this is published in clear cooperation time. So I need to do it during March 25th or beyond. 10 a.m. is good. So I would save my draft. And I'm not going to because I can save the draft. I can save the draft, but I can't.
You're not going to hit
schedule
schedule posts. Yeah.
because I cannot post this. But you could, if you were happy with this post, you could schedule it, right? And then it would show up in live and scheduled posts, and it would be right here. It would show our post right here. Okay. Questions, thoughts, anything at all?
Has anybody ever heard of the concept of a missing persons report? Say yes. Right.
Oh, Lindsay, I have a question.
Shoot.
Go ahead, Doyle.
You're rolling your eyes. Oh God, here we go.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
If we're going to put them in queue to go later, for those of us with clear cooperation, is there a way to maybe do a reminder to yourself the day before to make sure it's actually going out as you thought? Now things change.
Yeah.
If you wanted to be 1,000,000% sure,
Doyle does.
what I would,
Well,
which we know Sue Doyle does.
They're not finding us right now. It's educational. However, there's enough of it being broken every single day that I'm expecting before too much longer, they'll start finding. And it would be great if everybody got to dodge that.
Yeah.
Agreed. And this is everyone. Sue Doyle is talking.
Oh, no. I'm just Sue. Hi, good morning,
She's
everyone.
just Sue. She's just
I'm
Sue.
just Sue.
Sue
Yep.
operates in New Hampshire. That's all I'm saying.
Wiley
Sue
veteran at our
operates in New
market center,
Hampshire.
Sue Doyle.
Yes.
New Hampshire, Mass, and Maine.
Yes. So if, like Sue, you wanted to be extra super sure that your post did not go out before you were ready for it to, you would just save it as a draft. And you would need to remind yourself to schedule and post it, or post it directly on the day of. That is the way to be 1000% sure it will not go out before you're ready, is to save it as a draft and post from edit post. Do I want to edit this post? Yes. And it will allow me to schedule it or post it directly from there. Under live and scheduled posts. All right, Carol, back me up here. I'm gonna schedule this thing, and I will also delete it before it goes out. Yes, I want to edit this. I'm going to schedule it. Do I want to schedule this post? Yes. This is now scheduled for Friday, March 25th. All right, let's see here. We don't have any likes because it's not up there yet. And I am scheduled, and we will have to ask a market center tech trainer to answer Sue's question about alerts and whether or not I can get an alert, a reminder for a post that's scheduled. That's a great question.
I mean, our phones could certainly accomplish it. Put it on your calendar.
Yes, you can certainly
double check it.
manually put something on your calendar. Absolutely. But if there is a built-in way in Command, I would need to, I'd need to ask a tech trainer about that.
Thanks, Zoe.
And I'm going to delete this so that it does not go out because
Just
I
in
don't want
cases.
this to go out just in case. All right, so we're safe there. All right, anybody thoughts? Would we like to go deeper into designs? Would we like to go into other types of campaigns? Thoughts, questions? Anybody used either of these things before? Oh,
Sharon,
Sharon, you're on mute.
unmute.
Could you show us how to put the text into a book? Like if we're doing a listing presentation, I have trouble figuring out how to put the text in and selecting the page that I might want.
In terms of a listing presentation?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, I can briefly touch on that. Yep. Anyone else in terms of like posts or emails or marketing materials? No. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this one thing, Sharon, and then I'll go over a listing presentation and then I'll come back to this.
Okay.
All right. So designs, create design. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go to templates. And the reason I didn't go to create design is because in create design, I need to choose the type that I'm using, either social or print, etc.
Okay.
And I don't want to do that because in order to find the listing pack presentation, I have to be in either viewing all types of designs or print designs. Listing presentations are categorized as print designs. And here are my listing presentation options. They're all pretty solid. I have a preference for this one today. I'm going to use this. And this is pretty much same for listing presentation or buyer presentation. The process is the same. Okay. The pages you can see are down here. This only shows the first page, title page, right? But we know listing presentation has many. This is 29 pages. I click on that so that I can see all 29 pages in the listing presentation, right? But I can only edit one at a time. So in that sense, it's very similar to a PowerPoint or a Google Slides, very similar. So I want to change, Sharon, I think for your purposes, let's go on this one, right? Instructions. These are instructions for you to help you use this design and personalize your listing presentation. You do not want to use this instructions page and give it to someone you are having a listing presentation with.
I can't believe I didn't get the listing.
What? Instructions, right?
Dude, you gave me a cookie recipe. Yeah.
Right? Rule number one, read this before you hand it to a potential client. Please.
What do the carpenters say? Measure twice, cut once. Yeah. You might want to just take a glance-ski at this before you send it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, at least a once over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we don't want them to, if they feel they need additional guidance, email support@kw.com. They're not going to get the help they want.
That would be great.
Right? You, however, if you want help with this after this class, definitely email support@kw.com. They can totally help you. They're the people who can help you with this. All right. So I clicked on this text box once, and then I clicked on it again, and it all highlighted. Should I start from square one and say, start typing?
I don't know.
Oh, I love all of this.
Anyone?
No, edit what you have to tailor it to what you need.
Anyone ever doing like a school project and they wrote everything and then their computer crashed?
Yeah.
and then it all went away,
Yes.
but it was actually real, but your teacher didn't believe you
When
at
I was in school, we
all.
didn't have computers. Show off, but go ahead. Great story.
Okay. Yeah, don't do that. Don't be that guy here, okay? Whatever you want to write in your listing presentation, open up another window or your Word document, any kind of document that you use, right? I'm not judging here. Any kind of, way that you type the words. It can be an email to yourself, right? And write your stuff here. Copy it here, paste it here. Okay. And just be careful where you're pasting, right? Because you can see I just clicked anywhere in the page and it selected that black box instead. If I paste my words here, it's going to screw up my design because it's going to paste in the black box. If I make sure to paste in the text, and only when all the text is highlighted, then it will be the way I want it, right? Okay, so I'm going to see if this works. No, okay. We're all learning as we go. And if I wanted to undo, if I wanted to go back to the way it was. See, all right, it's going now. One letter at a time. One letter at a time, but I can keep pressing undo, which is what I'm doing. I'm just continually pressing up here until at a certain point, it will get me back to the original. Okay, so if you've done something terrible, just keep pressing undo until it looks right again and then start again. Okay. All right, so similarly, we can change instructions up here because this probably shouldn't say instructions. It should say maybe listing with me. Oh wait, that doesn't fit. That doesn't look awesome. All right, what can I do? I can change that box, or I can change the size of my font. This is currently at 35, so I'm going to try a 30. Whoops, I was highlighted, so did all of it. All right, that looks good. And then I'm just going to make it centered in here. Okay. Questions, thoughts, and then you just keep going. You just keep going. All right, cool. Page 1.
Well,
Done.
I guess if you're
Good.
thinking, I wouldn't even know
Next
what to put there,
page.
talk to some of your friends who have great listing presentations.
Yeah.
We are the entire culture of this company is, I was sitting where you were sitting at one point, and you can start to R&D and rip off and duplicate from the best in your market center. And then, because the mindset is, well, I just got here, I don't have a story to tell, right? So you want to start to, and you'll see on these pages coming up, there's places where you put market center numbers until you have your numbers, right? So don't overthink what that page needs. Page needs to be about what you're going to do to help them through this journey. Because if this is a really robust, if this is well done, Timmy Heil in Austin said this years ago. If your listing presentation is really well done, you're showing up for a signature. And again, there's a pre-listing packet conversation there too, but like we're going to get to the point where there's frequently asked questions. So you're not sitting down and answering questions that they could have read. Here's some of the frequently asked questions we've seen in the past. And that's part of your pre-listing packet.
Yeah. We've had a lot of conversation recently about the equity analysis. At the beginning of class, Tim talked about the Trojan horse listing presentation for listing appointment being the equity analysis. Could you pull out these 2 pages as an equity analysis for somebody? They look pretty good. And what I'm reading here is your property. Cool, we can keep that. 1050 Heather Lane. Obviously, we just plug in whatever address we're talking about. Your home is 10% larger than the average property sold in Barton Hills. Wow, that sounds like the beginning of a CMA conversation. Could I also make that into an equity analysis conversation for somebody? Easily. Could I also give them some information that is available to me and that I could make available to them in these 2 pages? 100%. Should I then also make sure that I put it back to whatever it should be for the listing appointment that I am going to have next? Do I need to make sure that this property matches the listing appointment I'm going on every single time? Because if somebody's name is, I don't know,
Marshall Rodriguez.
Marshall Rodriguez, right?
Yeah.
Marshall, if
Yeah.
I'm giving you a listing presentation and I come in and I hand you a listing presentation that looks like this, what do you, and you were flipping through and I'm like, oh, Mr. Rodriguez. Oh, I mean, oh, just
Your
skip that,
house is so
please.
much like Carol's. Don't pesky
Oh,
facts.
so
Don't mind- don't
similar.
mind the
I just
pesky
printed
facts.
out the same one. What are you gonna think about me, Marshall?
He's muted.
You're muted, but it's something like not great, right? Go ahead.
You didn't put much work into it.
I did not put very much work into this. Do I care about you very much, do you think? No. Is that the idea that I want to present to Marshall?
Nope.
No.
Rude.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So we want to double, triple check all of this, make sure it is relevant to the person we are presenting to every time. Because that right there just cost me the listing with Marshall. Rightfully so. He's correct in saying, okay, thanks, bye. Please get out of my house now.
Yeah. And as we're going through this conversation, there's like, you're thinking right now, there's 29 pages. I need to change all of them to make them Sharon Gallagher specific and then client specific. Well, eventually you're going to be changing your metrics as your story grows, but then you're ultimately only going to be changing the conversation for each individual client.
Right.
And then if you're thinking the way I'm thinking, like all this kind of stuff when I was in production was just brain damage, right? You get to a point where eventually there's somebody smarter than you doing this on your behalf. And I say that with love. No, I'm good at this stuff. Cool, but it's not your highest and best use. Your highest and best use is getting to the kitchen table, signing babies, signing contracts, moving on. That's a Talladega Nights reference point for anybody that cares. I'll sign your baby. So, don't overthink this. Like once you get this built for your business, now you just plug and play their stats, their hopes and dreams, their name. So I don't hand Marshall a Carol presentation.
Ian, what you got?
Yeah, how do we connect our Facebook to command?
Great question.
Ooh.
Great question. All right, we're gonna get out of here. All right. So we go back to our command here. And we are going to head to settings. Facebook. Applications, connected apps, right off the bat. More integrations. I can connect more apps. I would love to do that, but we're just going to talk about Facebook here. So I am connected to a Facebook page, post scheduling through myself and an ads manager, right? So you likely will be connected in the same way. I'm going to manage that connection. For you all who don't yet have a connection to your Facebook, it's going to show up more like this, connect account. And it's going to be actually exactly like Twitter. So I'm going to, if you have a Twitter, go ahead.
And you'll connect your
that.
business page on Facebook, not your personal
business
page.
Right.
You start
So
to
it
advertise
will
on your personal
show-
page, you'll get shut down.
Right. Yes, it has to be a business page on Facebook. And it will then show up as the Facebook login. Okay, Facebook, you are giving command, you are authorizing command to access your account, etc. And then if we were to manage it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to disconnect, but I am going to disconnect from here. Maybe I can do that. Disconnect account, because it looks like I don't have any business page yet. It's true. I don't have a business page for myself. So this won't work if I try to post an ad to my business page because I don't have one. So I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect it. Yes, I want to disconnect. All right, awesome. So I don't have any connected accounts, but for you, you would, like I said, go here and continue through the Facebook dialogue that will come up. It will, like, from that point, connect account, it will be a Facebook dialogue that it will bring you through. You'll sign in, you'll click on what exactly you want Command to have access to, and then Facebook will give Command permission to view and act as you on your Facebook business page. Does that answer question?
So it has to be a business page?
Yes, it does.
So I have to
In order
create a whole
for
new
in order
Facebook
for
page?
Command to do things for you, like post to your account through campaigns, or post and run an ad through campaigns paid ads, it has to be a business account. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And that's the way that both of the back ends of the platforms work.
I'm not really, all right. I guess I can figure out, I mean, a business page, you just have to create a new Facebook account. That's,
You're going to, you create a business
No.
page and you're going to make sure, well, you can only have a business page if you have a personal account. So
Right.
it will be,
Right.
it'll be connected to you as a person, but it's your business page. You're going to require all the compliance initiatives that would be expected, so they can track down that you're connected to your market center. There's a phone number that connects to the market center. And ultimately, good morning, Mr. Zuckerberg. He looks great today, doesn't he? Good morning, Mark. So like Mark Zuckerberg with the algorithm for you guys to run ads. If you do start to advertise on your personal page, you will get shut down.
Yes.
And locked out and slapped, and you'll lose access to Facebook. So again, make your business page. Doesn't need to be all transactional stuff, right? We want to be the mayor of our neighborhood, but that's where we're going to run all of our real estate initiatives. You can still talk about being a realtor on your personal page, but you want your personal page to be Ian the human, right?
Yeah.
Like Ian the partner, the husband, the boyfriend, the father, the dog owner, all those things. So, because if we tend to think we build this perfectly polished business page, they'll never find my personal Facebook. They found it 20 minutes before they met you.
Yeah.
Like during COVID, and most people I know that are pretty wily with the internet, everyone works for the CIA when it comes to the intertubes, right? Like, everyone works for the CIA. So they're going to find all the things. So please, in that regard, if you are uber professional on your business page and an upstanding citizen of the universe on your business page, I'm not saying you can't post the pictures from Mexico on your personal page, but just make sure you have pants on, and there's just be very aware that they're going to find all the information about you, and you don't want to look like Jekyll and Hyde. That's all.
Yeah.
Said with love.
So Ian, if you go to your Facebook home here, I would do this in a browser. I cannot guarantee that mobile is the same way. Go up here to the menu, create page. Click that, create a page. Here you are. Go through the motions here, and eventually through this dialogue, it will give you the option to choose, is this a personal page or a business page, and click business. So you do not need to create a full new Facebook account. You just need to create a new Facebook page. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And to be clear, this is a page, not a group, not an ad, not an event, not a marketplace listing or a fundraiser. This is a page.
I got you. Yep.
All right. Anybody else? Awesome question, Ian. Thank you.
So I have to do that before I connect it to Command.
That's correct. Yep.
Right. Okay.
I think worth a mention too, that separation between the pictures from Mexico that Mr. Lindsay was mentioning. And
I've never been,
business.
Doyle, and if you have any 8x10 glossies of me on a donkey in
I
a bikini, I will buy those. I will buy them from the photographer. Yes.
I've got them all. So I'm just
you do.
waiting until I need them, and I haven't
Yes,
needed them yet.
Yeah.
But I think worth a mention that it's representing what's out there, is representing you. It's representing your office, and it's
Amen, sister.
representing the entire industry
The whole
and
brand.
how the general public views us.
Yep.
So I can't say that I'm 100% perfect on that, but I think if we can have that thought before we put things out there of how it's perceived by the general public, it's all going to count at the end.
Yeah, great point, Doyle. I mean, there's no the mindset that my clients will never see this, or one of my teammates' clients will never see this. That's not a thing. So
They will. Yep.
Yeah, without fail, like you're obviously you represent yourself and your family and your business. You've got to remember, like at our market center, there's about 730 agents. Then I got to think beyond those agents, there's all the operational staff, the staff here at the market center. One mishap paints our entire market center, and I would argue our entire brand with a broad brush of that was awesome, or that was a bad idea, right? So just remember that when somebody has a poor experience with us individually or a poor experience online, they saw something online, they might forget your name. They probably won't, but they'll definitely remember the umbrella you play under, and you're affecting everyone's business. So we just got to remember you relinquished your ability to be a private citizen as soon as you took on this very public role.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay. I'm speeding through slides because we did a bunch. Any last questions before we move on to our ahas? Questions or ahas?
I was going to throw in there real quick too. When you go back into where Zoe just took us with the listing presentations, there are a handful of choices. One of them you'll notice, it's almost every other page is black and white. And I'm pretty sure the black, and this breaks it down. If you've ever taken bold, right? Logic makes them think, emotion makes them act. The black pages are logical. The white pages are emotional. And you'll see that because the black pages are talking about the house and the opportunity, and the white pages have a picture of a mom holding her kid up and all that kind of stuff. If we could jump back into that, it's pretty clear. And I just think for that reason alone, if you know that you'd love to have that conversation and be that, pardon the pun, black and white, and that, operational and emotional with them to pull them through I think that one right there, every other page, you'll see there's a picture of the mom with the kids. Then the next page is very logical. Then there's a page that's emotional. And if you're sitting down with a family or a couple and one of them's logical and one's emotional, I'm going to play into the conversation as need be, right? That's very logical. Here's your face. Here's your thing with the stuff. Logical, all the things. Barton Hills.
Here we
Now
go.
we're talking about
Okay.
where you live.
There
right?
we go.
Yeah. So you'll notice it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The process, logical, right? And they may have changed it, but initially that's what it was. This is, I like this one the most actually, right?
Yeah, this one's pretty good.
Super clean. And there's a lot of stuff that are the larger KW story that you don't have to really manipulate to make it speak to your strengths. And then there's going to be things that you want to make hyper local that are your story, and we have a lot of our great agents that, just talk about some of the things that we do as a market center that really set us apart, that they use and spend the most of their time when they're talking to their clients. So
yeah,
a lot of this stuff is ready to go.
I want to just make a point here. This is a really subtle marketing point, but I think it's important. So Tim was able to recall this set of pages sight unseen. We didn't look at it before, but Tim was like, I know in there somewhere, there's a listing presentation where there's one page that's like warm, family, right? Emotion. And then next, there's a page that's more logic, numbers, process oriented, right? And he thought the whole presentation was like that. He thought the whole way through there was emotion, logic, emotion, logic, emotion, logic. But when we scroll through here, in fact, there's
broken
a
up.
couple of them but it's really not the whole presentation. There's this page with some really fantastic emotions, right? And then really the next one is all the way down here.
Dad's way down there. Yeah. And it's a
Dad's
white
way
page.
down here.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't take a lot to solidify yourself or solidify the message in somebody's brain. It only took 2 of those pages to get Tim to A, remember it, and B, think that's all the presentation was. Half emotion, half thinking, logic.
I can tell you, actually, Zoe, I can tell you it was 2 years ago. It was our last in-person bold here in New Hampshire. And we graduated on March 12th, the day before COVID shut the universe down. So that was over 2 years ago. And I'm senile and I still remembered. So like, you know, when you get really good at having this conversation, because don't forget, you're not going to sit listing, pre-listing packet that you're going to send out to them ahead of time, your listing presentation. And, you know, either one, you're not going to sit and read this to them. You're going to start, this is going to become your story so much so that you're going to be able to just work off this. Even though there's paragraphs there, they're really bullet points. There are high points, but it serves that, again, to Zoe's point, the person like me is going to remember the bullet points and a few things that jump off the page where your high C is going to be like, let me read the paragraph. I don't like that they used Helvetica, but we'll talk about that later. Like they're going to get really dorky and lost in the weeds about some of the things as opposed to, but the point of all of this is it will speak to everyone. And you're just going to make sure that you're lifting off these pages for your individual across from you on the kitchen table, what's most important to them. Because you don't want to spend, we ask that question all the time. What's the best question you can ask when you're sitting or engaging with your seller for the first time? What are you looking for in a listing agent? What's important to you? Because if you've got a page in here with all your bullet points of all the things that you and your team do to get a home sold, but Zoe says to me, I want them to be trustworthy. I want them to be well-known in the community and I want them to be punctual. Well, if that was bullet point 5, 7, and 9, I'm going to move that up to 2, 4, and 6 or what, not obviously make it 1, 2, and 3, but I can now move those to the top of the list. So those things that were important to them become important to the team as far as they know. And that's not disingenuous. It's still something we do, but you can lean into that part of the conversation rather than telling them what you think they want to hear. Just ask them what they want to hear and then tell them what they want to hear, if that makes sense.
Or if I didn't want to do so much work, I could choose the ones that I know are impactful for them and I could just bold them here.
Yep.
Right. Instead of shifting all of them around, I can use bold judiciously.
Yeah.
To then make a couple things pop on this page. Ian, what you got?
Yeah, so I think you already mentioned this, but we can, any of the images that are in here, we can use those.
Yes, any images that are currently in here, you can use.
Okay.
I would not keep a page like this up.
Right. I got you.
In terms of the images, this is JV. I wouldn't do it. But any images like this, any images that are more what we would call stock imagery, right? Like this, they are, it's entirely fine to keep those in, right? But again, for the images of houses, please make sure that they are relevant and local. For example, this is clearly not New England.
Yeah,
right?
I always
maybe pick a different one.
The Corinthian poles out front with the palm trees. Do you want to move to Portsmouth, New Hampshire?
Nice.
Yeah,
I would love
like that. Yeah,
definitely not here. Right.
So if we're doing a particular house, can we use the images that are on MLS?
No, what I would do,
bring those in, or do we have to drive around and take pictures of all the houses that we have? Because MLS provides pictures for a lot of the properties.
Yeah, but MLS, let me say this concerning that. If I'm going to our earlier point, if I'm going over to Sue Doyle's house to make a presentation for her at the end of the week, I'm not going back into MLS for her old photos from her last realtor. Right.
I got you.
I'm going to have a conversation with Sue and just say, hey, Sue, just to let you know, before we swing by on Friday, a member of my team is gonna pop by or maybe popping by, and you probably won't even notice they're there, but I just want to let you know somebody from our team may swing by and grab a couple external photos, just to start the process.
Okay, but it's
because
we can
then I'm going to
legally
use those
photos, though, right? If we
what's
want to
that?
put it into our own president, we can legally use those photos if the house hasn't been changed at all.
I got her permission to take a quick picture of the outside of the house, and that way I can drop that current photo that she gave me permission for, that we own, into it to make it
Okay.
feel more connected to her. Right.
Right. So Ian, I would say the easiest answer to that is on a page like this. So this is the page that you would complete individually. You would customize for each listing appointment, right? So clearly, right, Marshall Rodriguez, this is a custom consultation, right? This does not have to be their house. I want to make that clear. Like,
correct.
This picture does not have to be their house. It might feel a little creepy if you have not had the full conversation with them, as Tim did, to say, hey, somebody from my team might swing by. Like, if you snapped a picture like out your car window and then put it in here, I might not feel very comfortable with that as like somebody who was meeting with you. Instead, what I would encourage is to go to any one of many stock photo sites, right? This is an extra, everybody. This is designs like graduate school. Okay. Oh no. Oh my gosh.
While you're typing, I'm going to jump in real quick. I was picking on Doyle in particular because Doyle has, she's like Ron Burgundy. She has leather bound books for each of her listings. And that could be her in for that. Like Lindsay, somebody from my team is going to swing by at some point in the next couple of days to take a picture of the outside of your house. We put it on the binder that's going to be attached to your property throughout the process. She's already future-proofing her greatness. She's making a leather, she's probably not going to tell me it's sheepskin, but she's already telling me that their team is already putting together a binder for our listing that she hasn't gotten yet, but she's already telling me in my head she intends to get this, right? But yes, getting permission from them. And again, don't be married. You don't have to be married to that idea. You just also don't want to put up a picture of a California home on the front of their New Hampshire listing.
Right.
Yes.
Nor do you want to take one off of MLS, because you don't have the right to do that. And you're going to hear from lots of people if you do that.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's why you get permission to take your own picture or use something stock.
So Tim, a quick question, property cards, don't they have a photo? You can't use that either, huh? When you look up for the property card, they have,
you can, but they're usually, they're 10 years old typically. So a lot of times it's like, ooh, my house doesn't look like that. That's what it looked like 3 owners ago. So just be a little careful of that too.
Yeah. And Linda, they're also usually really terrible quality. So if you put it in here, it would look really bad. It would look super grainy, like you wouldn't be able, because this is quite a large picture. So you can do that. What I would do, and this is graduate school, like I said, you don't have to do this, but go to a free stock photo site. This is Unsplash. Most everything on here is free to use. Find a nice photo that is evocative of something about your location, right? So in Portsmouth, we have a lot of historic buildings that sort of look like this, right? Not exactly, but sort of. It's evocative. It's not exactly the same, but this definitely is not California, right? I'm going to download it and then I will upload it here, right? So that it feels, it's not their house, but it feels like it belongs in their area. Or similarly, I could go not with house at all, but I could go with just the area. If this is really in Portsmouth, right? This is not in Portsmouth. This is somewhere in Rockport, right? But we've got a lot of water industry still, right? So, use something that feels like the area. Okay. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to stop share now, and because we are getting really down to it. Questions, ahas, Linda, did you have, I know you had your hand raised for a while. Did you have something else? Another question or a thought?
I just had one thing. I have shared a neighborhood video. You know how you can create it on command with the neighborhood. Now, maybe I'm sorry, they're doing some construction work here. So by any chance, is it okay for us to post a neighborhood and kind of say our very nice or beautiful neighborhood to purchase a home or something like that? Would it be like wrong to pick a neighborhood and put it out there? Is that like legal because I'm sticking them to one neighborhood or calling one neighborhood better than another neighborhood? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. So let's say I created a neighborhood video, right? Beaver's Pond. I live in Meriden, Beaver's Pond. And then if I posted it and I was like, this is a beautiful neighborhood. I see there's 11 homes for sale. Let me know if you would like to purchase in this neighborhood or something like that. Am I wrong for that? Can I do something like that? Or I can't specifically pick a neighborhood and kind of promote that neighborhood to purchase a home in?
The only thing you got to stay away from, and you could certainly market that you're talking about a specific neighborhood. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to steer clear of talking about its proximity or connection to any houses of faith, right? Like I just literally talk about the neighborhood and you know, I mean, because we just can't go down that road. Moreover, though, rather than standing in a neighborhood that has plenty of houses for sale, right, which I feel like isn't on planet America right now, I'd rather in this neighborhood we have, you know, even if somebody, and this is an anybody conversation, one of the beautiful houses in this neighborhood just sold, and we're working with a lot of people that find this end of town desirable, whatever the case may be. So we're spending the day on this street, you know, introducing ourselves to the neighbors to see if anybody else is looking to list. What do we know? You might be on Maple Street, but what do we know? Most people are shopping a zip code and a lifestyle. The person that tells you they really want to be on Maple Street in a Colonial will settle for the Gambrell 4 streets over, because it's really a lifestyle thing for the most part, right? But I would be, you just want to be, you want to be specific about what your actions are, but you want to be a little more widely based with like proximity and stuff like that. It's just, and another thing to think about too, and getting permission. So true. If you're going to jump into somebody's open house, and I love when people do this and people have done it, and it's not a bad idea. You just want to make sure that people are okay with it. If I'm jumping into Sue Doyle's open house, I'm just going to say, hey, Sue, gorgeous property. If you don't mind, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm making a walkthrough video that I'm going to share with my buyer who's across the country, because I think this may be of interest to them, if you don't mind. And I also am going to do another quick live just from the front yard, talking about the fact that I swung by your open house. Like I'm, you know, and obviously as a KW agent, it's awesome. I get to brag about a KW agent, but I'm not going to at any point make any claim that this is a listing that is mine. Right. And I'm not going to do a live unless the agent says I can, because they're not going to be upset if I'm bringing more attention to their listing, as long as I'm doing it with under their direction. And if they're like, you can, I need you to say these words, not those words. Or if you're just shooting a video like, hey, I've got some remote buyers, because people do that all the time, but you're getting permission so they understand I'm rolling camera in here, because I want to make sure that I'm not on camera sending a private conversation of the couple in the corner of the living room out live on YouTube, right? So we've got to be really cognizant of this. Anytime we enter an open house as a visitor on behalf of our buyers, or just to edify ourselves in the conversation about the industry, I'm going to make sure the listing agent is completely brought up to speed on what my intentions are, what I'm doing, and we are not talking to people in that building. Everybody in that building is their conversation. I'm only there to view the home and see if it's appropriate for one of my buyers. So just being aware of that. But people usually get handcuffed because they're like, Catholic Church is right down the street. well, I don't think you've insulted any other faith, but you didn't tell me if there's a mosque down the street. We just don't want to go there.
Okay.
So we don't talk about proximity at all. We just talk about, you know, it's a great neighborhood, but we can't say for families. We can't say any of that stuff. So just
Okay.
talk about the property. It's a property specific conversation.
Okay.
You know, it's also a really great thing to do
Yes, ma'am.
is to ask the hosting agent, I mean, not interrupting them with conversation with other people, but while there, doesn't matter what office it is, ask them if you have time, if they want a cup of coffee, I've had a couple of people say, actually, could you stay for a few minutes? I'm not really comfortable with somebody in the house. Just ask.
Yep.
You know, it's great for relationships with other co-brokes, and they will remember you forever for it.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point, Doyle. If it's 12 to 2 o'clock and you walk in there at 1:45 because you just had time to swing through and Doyle's there and there's still some people hanging around, just like, hey, Sue, I was just going to swing through and take a peek. This is gorgeous. Thanks for having me. I think I've got some people in mind. I'll be in touch. Hey, did you want me to hang out till you close up? Like that goes a long way. And to Doyle's point, whether they play on our team or not, we're all in the sandbox of real estate, and security's a big deal, right? If she's got teammates there, that's one thing. If she's got her in-house Brad Kelly in-house lender there, he's 6'9" and probably has a hockey stick with him. She's okay. But if she's alone, yeah, I can hang for 15 more minutes while you shut down the house and shut off the lights. Do you want me to hang? That'll go a long way. They'll never forget that.
And doesn't Keller Williams have like a code word too, like orange or red folder if one of us feels uncomfortable?
Our market center does. And I trust if you talk to your leadership at your other market centers, we've always just called it the orange file or the orange folder. So if you're ever doing an open house or if you're at a listing, now here's the thing. And you know, and I will say this to everybody, like, this is not a guy or girl thing. I'm 5'9". Anybody could beat me up. This is about being safe. Okay. But if you are going to meet somebody at a property and you didn't leverage the office first and meet them there first, or if they're a buyer, which is normally who we're going to meet at a property, you know, that we don't know, you're asking them, and I can speak for 463, and I trust all of our other market centers would follow suit. You can certainly leverage the conversation. Hey, Mr. Lindsay, awesome. I'd love to meet you at 123 Maple. You mentioned Janina, your wife is coming. Could you do me a favor? Office policy, I'm sure you understand. Could you scan through a copy of your license and her license? Any guy worth his salt on planet Earth in this current day should not be offended by what you're asking. Not to mention, I'm scanning it through with my pre-approval, which means I talk to a lender, which means I probably gainfully employed, and I have the financial ability to execute this transaction. Like, if any question like that about teeing up their opportunity to go see a property gets flaky, why do you need my license? It's just office policy. Since we're not meeting at the office, I'm happy to meet you at the property. And then when you go to the property, bring a loved one with a hockey stick. Not a hockey stick, you know what I mean, though. Or just have somebody else meet you. When you're going into the property, if you are going alone, don't do this. You're taking a picture of the license plate. And you're sending it back to a couple of people at the office. I'm going in to show this property. It should be 20 minutes. Here's the license plate of the person that I'm meeting. Why are you taking a picture of my license plate? Office policy. Kill them with office policy. Your leadership will never have an issue with that. Safety first. You know,
Yeah,
but Timmy, if I
also-
close this deal, I cap. It's not going to matter if you're laying in a casket. And that's macabre for me to say, and it's true. Let's be safe.
And if it is office policy, if you're making it your office policy, which is perfectly okay for you to say, this is my office policy, make it office policy.
Yep.
Don't do it just when you feel weird.
Yeah.
You have to do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because we are poor judgment of character.
Yeah.
That's human nature, is to be poor judgment of character. So you have to do, if you're going to do it with one person, you must do it with everyone. It
Sure.
is my flat policy to get just a photo of your license or of your license plate, right?
Sure.
If you decide to do that, don't do it based on your feeling. Do it with everybody.
Across the board. Across the board.
Doing it by feeling can land you in fair housing prison.
Amen.
And
Amen. Thank
we
you. Dana.
have the orange folder for the office, but through NAR, I believe, I don't think
card.
it's just
Yeah, the
New
red card.
Hampshire. I have a stack of the red cards. They used to give them out when you went to get, your pin. You got pinned. Because of COVID, they didn't have the ability to hand them out, but I have a stack of them. So if somebody wants a red card, I can certainly mail some out.
So
Yes.
Doyle's point
Carol,
on that, Carol, go ahead.
I'm going to jump in here because I don't know if anybody here on this call is licensed in Maine and a member of the York County Board of Realtors. Virginia, Frost and I are on we have a new safety committee for the York County Board of Realtors. And we're going to be implementing a card similar to that of the one that you're talking about, the red card. We're going to have one that's going to be given out to all of the brokerages that attend and that want them. They're going to be not only for, how the red card is something you can give to an agent. Well, I said, what if we had something on the back of it? Or, it doesn't matter what the card says. It's a matter of giving people the card. They know what that is as soon as they see it. If you were at an open house or something, and let's say there was not an agent there, I said, let's do something that we can give to a lay person, give to another person who's at the open house. Like, I feel like I'm in danger because there's a guy waiting for me upstairs that won't leave. So we're going to be implementing something that's just going to say in very fine print, that's not apparent to anyone. We're just going to hand it to them and say, if you look at this really quickly, just make sure you can read my phone number, my email address on there, and get back to me later on. Let me know what you think about the house. It just says, please leave the house and please call 911. And send them to this address. So we're going to be doing that through the York County Board of Realtors, through the safety committee. So look for that if you're a member of the York County Board of Realtors in Maine.
Awesome. So the orange folder that we talk about at our market center, and your market center may very well have something like this in place. So check with your leadership locally. So if Zoe was at a house doing a showing, and to Doyle's point and to Carol's point, the red card is when I'm meeting the other agent, and this is usually on the buyer side because usually the seller's not there. You're meeting the listing agent at the property. If I'm meeting the listing agent as the buyer's agent, and I'm not comfortable with my client that I just met at the property, and they're making me uncomfortable, that hair on the back of your neck, that's called your sixth sense. Pay attention to it, everybody. I'm handing that card across with my card to Doyle. So Doyle will see that I'm not comfortable with the person that I'm with. The orange file is if I'm at an open house or doing a showing, and at some point, typically an open house situation, at some point, I just feel like somebody who's here is making me feel uncomfortable. I don't have to be in conversation with them. I can just literally call, and I get our front desk, and our whole staff knows the deal. And we obviously from there, it would go onto Facebook. I would call and get our front desk and say to Helen, hey, Helen, it's Tim Lindsay. Now the code and the orange folder, the civilian would never understand what this is. So we say, hey, it's Tim Lindsay. I'm at my open house at 223 Main Street. I forgot the orange folder. Could you have somebody swing that over? That's code for a message that will go on Facebook. If anybody's in the area, can somebody please swing by immediately, 223. So then all of a sudden, Brad Kelly and his hockey stick show up, or just 4 more people show up. And everybody knows the drill because you felt unsafe with somebody in the property. And I've said this a million times, and it's going to sound weird, so I'll make sure I tell it succinctly so you don't think that I'm awful. I think there's a lot of stories that happen nationally, and they take place on Dateline, and we all think it's happening somewhere else. And we had somebody most recently, last 5 years, Carol knows what I'm talking about. Last 5 years, we had somebody most recently in our market center actually get, they were safe, but it got down to physical interaction with a gentleman. And I said to Nathan, who everybody knows, Nathan Dickey, I said, this is going to sound terrible, but I'm grateful that it hit this close to home as a wake up call. Because I think we take these stories we see on Dateline and everywhere else, and it would never happen here. With the ability to find everyone online and see pictures online and be able to know where you are, it's only going to increase the probability of some of these people deciding to make really poor decisions. So whether it's an orange file or folder at your office, or you get the red card, and when you do an open house, have all your paths of egress open. Have the back door open, have the sliding glass door open, and have people, if it's a really large house and you couldn't even tell if somebody was upstairs waiting for you to go up and shut the lights off, have a few team members there with you. And without fail, if you have a lender there, and I pick on Brad a lot because we adore him. He is 6. I don't know. He's 6 enough. I'm 5'9". I just look up every time I see him in the hallway. He's a big guy. And he's also taking that objection off the plate when somebody comes in, they're like, oh my God, this is great. We don't even know where to get started. Well, we got a great resource right here. He's sitting over the kitchen island and he can run their numbers in real time and have a conversation. And above and beyond that, he's in the building. He's happy to do it. Give him a heads up. He's got a life too. But if you got a really big property, maybe you need somebody on the 4th floor and the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor. Safety in numbers. When you're door knocking, when you're doing open houses, when you're going on showings, make sure people know where you are and back yourself up and blame it on the office. It's office policy. Nobody in your leadership team is ever going to be upset that you did that. We want you guys safe and sound.
Yeah. And
Thanks, Tim.
If you are in Rhode Island, Mitchell, who is not here anymore, but thank you to Mitchell, who dropped in the chat, you can now text 911. Which is fantastic. So if you are in Rhode Island, please keep that in mind as well. Does anyone have any ahas or last questions or anything they want to share here about marketing today? Anything we talked about today? Or anything at all, really? How your calls are going? How's,
I'll throw in a thanks to you both for you I have significant difficulty dodging the safety issue. So that got sidetracked a little bit. So I really appreciate you covering that.
No, I don't think we talk about it enough, Doyle. So I appreciate us going a little bit deeper on that because we're getting to the point we haven't been doing in-person real estate for quite some time. And a lot of our people just arrived in the last 24 months. So we just want you to be vigilant, right?
Yeah.
And just be aware of your surroundings and lean on your market centers for safety protocols. And it is important to know. I mean, I'm not going to tell a long story here because it's time to wrap up. But I had a 9-month situation with a guy, and I'm elderly. It's everybody at risk. Took 3 police departments to make it stop. It's everybody, and it does hit home. So think about it. Thoughts, concerns, questions?
I have a thought and a concern. Sue, you're not elderly.
I'm not going to fight.
I'm just going to be the one to come out and say it. You are far from elderly.
Doyle's got a personal trainer. She is spry and she will kick your butt. Yeah. Yeah.
I love you guys for that. No,
you look 38, Doyle.
Mathematically elderly, but it was a little bit of an eye opener because I think people tend to think it's the, younger supermodel types that things like this would happen to. And it's just worth mentioning that it's everybody at stake, and to not assume that it couldn't be you, and to just take the precautions and have a system in place to deal with it. It's all workable. Just got to know what to do in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Sue.
Well, ironically, the 22 souls on board, Zoe and I are thanking you for making it to 12:07. If you guys want to scribble this down, always here to help. You can email me. It's tlindsey, TLINDSEY @kw.com. And my number is 603-834-2856. Questions, comments, concerns. We're always here to help without fail. And I guarantee whatever you're thinking right now about what you're going to do when this call ends, you're overthinking it. Just go overdo it. No one's going to be offended. You called to see how they're doing, to see how you can help. Head down, heart up, service first, sales second. It will all come.
You guys are the best. You know that, right?
Yeah. Fill out the survey. If you enjoyed today's class,
yes, and
the instructor was Zoe Kirkpatrick. If you hated it, it was Nathan Dickey.
Tim Lindsay.
Dickey. No, Nathan Dickey. Yeah. If you hated it, it was Nate. If you loved it, it was Zoe. I'm Switzerland today. Yeah. But
and every day.
Yeah, sure.
Love you guys. Bye.
Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.